welcome back, kiddies. Insert random Joker bullshit here. And welcome back to Superhero Stuff You Should Know with me, your old Uncle Joker. And as always are my co-host, Benjamin and Deep Dive Drew.
Welcome, everyone. This is Ben, and Deep Dive Drew is making faces over there.
Hi, everybody.
Viewers.
Deep Dive Drew, everybody, on the Keith. I'm on the Keith today. Gonna talk about toys.
And, you know, it was too much information for just one episode. We quickly realized as we started talking. So we are back again today to talk about the Kenner Batman toy lines. And, of course, I had to bring back my best bud, confidant, and more of an expert on toys than me, Robert Oden Jr. So thank you for coming back, Robert.
Oh, no problem.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, man.
And we did you a disservice last time. We forgot to actually thank you for being on the show in the first place at the end. So we'll say it now. We're going to say it again.
He was coming back.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on the last one and this one.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm going to just think that Odin is Odin, by the way. You're just
That's fine.
Thor's
It's
dad
cooler
to
than
me.
I
He
am, so
disrespected
go with
Odin.
Yeah. That's what I want.
So I realized last time after listening to the episode that I went really fast. That was my first time hosting, and it felt like I was back in like middle school or high school, like giving a presentation again. And I was like, I need to slow down this time. So now that I know it's split up into 2.5 episodes, I know. But I just felt like sometimes I was rushing a little bit. Let's really
for
savor.
for people that don't know, behind the scenes thing, we were like 2 hours in. We were like, where's a break, man? Literally 2 hours in.
Never going to get a break.
No.
I mean, really behind the scenes, we added that break in the middle after. So,
Yes.
But by the way,
there was-
Zach, real quick,
Yes.
does it feel like making a book report? Because to me, it does. Whenever you're making the notes
It
for the
does.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and I make a whole presentation too. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like I feel like I know a lot of stuff, but then I get some things wrong. But luckily, I have my people around me to correct me, so I don't feel too bad. But yeah, it just feels. Yes, it feels. It's hard. This is hard work. So you have my respect, Ben, more so than Andrew. But you know,
we know that.
Hey. Hey,
Well, no,
Andrew was
it's
doing
a-
this way before any of us.
That's right. It's a
It
lot
was
of
mostly
fun. But
movie
yeah,
reviews, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were messaging me like, isn't it about time for a break? I totally didn't see those messages. So yeah, we're no breaks. I'll try to work one in this time. Well, as you guys can see, we stopped last time talking about Legends of the Dark Knight, which I mistakenly thought was before the Batman Forever toy line. So we actually jumped to like 1998. So we're jumping back now into the year of our Lord and Savior Seal, and
Seal?
that is 1995. Oh yeah,
That song holds up,
this is
dude.
this is prime 90s time for anybody. And you know, you can say that Batman Forever is not a good movie, but I would
You'd
be
be
hard
wrong.
pressed to say that anybody in 1995 didn't go apeshit over that movie. It was so popular, and I know the kids loved it. And because of the kids loving it, and of course the issues that not only Kenner but McDonald's caused with Batman Returns, the toy lines became much more, I would say, colorful and broad because they wanted the Batman series to become more toyetic in general with Joel Schumacher's next entry because, you know, Warner Brothers makes a lot of money off of the merchandise for these movies. And, you know, I really enjoy the Batman Returns toy line. But like we talked about, Penguin doesn't really look like Danny DeVito. So obviously there were some issues where they were just like, we can't make toys of this. And I know the McDonald's fiasco where it's not really Kenner related, but we know the McDonald's toys, they pulled them after the parent backlash for Batman Returns being too dark. So, of course, Warner Brothers wanted to go in a more lighthearted direction. And I just feel like that just opened up a whole new playground, no pun intended, for Kenner merchandise for Batman Forever. So let's hop on over here and we will take a look And this, of course, is some more Logan Wood collage artwork for Batman Forever. And it's already super colorful. Not that the other one wasn't colorful, but this is like insane greens and yellows and just everything is popping out. And Andrew, you asked earlier, and it actually took me a little bit of research to find out the artist's name. I had heard it before, but just researching it, I couldn't find it immediately. But it's Bob Larkin is the artist for much of the Kenner toy line box art that we see here.
The materials are paint, right? It's like just regular paint.
That definitely looks like acrylic paint. And
acrylic,
yeah, I sent you guys a link in our private messages, but it was like they were, I think Kenner was actually selling these exclusive premium prints. They were art prints of like the box art for Batman Returns, and it looks really nice. Like the artist did such a good job at capturing the likeness of the actors, but also like creating a very dynamic pose and action-oriented kind of mood with these pieces of artwork. It's like these are the action figures, but they are very realistic. They look like real life. So he's combined that kind of real life Batman with the toy itself, which is, I always like that more than just having a photo of the toy, which I don't think I'll get into it, but they did do that with Batman and Robin. There is actually a couple of boxes where the box art either has the illustration by Bob Larkin or it has the photo of the toy itself, which I would rather have the illustration. It kind of inspires a lot of that like childhood imagination more than just like a photo of the static toy.
I like the lower right here with age-appropriate Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell, yeah.
Looks like he's about to drink some prune juice or something.
He's got that trendy haircut, and he's got his ear pierced. He's ready to... I think that's actually the quick change Dick Grayson, if I'm not wrong. It actually had like, basically, I think it was kind of like that Joker figure from the Dark Knight collection, where you can... cold water or warm water, whatever it was, would make a mask appear on his face, which is a cool gimmick. But then again, it's just like the same thing with Joker. After the figure ages, you pretty much just end up with this kind of like fainted mask on his face all the time. Like Oliver Queen in the first couple seasons of Arrow. It's just like he's got some running mascara.
Will become
someone
else, something else. I do like this Bob Larkin art because it sort of feels like a comic book adaptation of an alternate version of Batman Forever with all these different costumes and gadgets and stuff that weren't in the movie. So it's just like, I want to read that just to see what the hell happens.
Yeah, I love it. It's very dynamic, and I think it definitely catches the eye of the viewer, which is kind of like the way that a lot of comic books are sold. You want to buy it based on the cover. Well, this is just like, oh, look at this artwork on the box. Like, it just makes you want to buy it. So good on them and the merchandising.
Awesome.
Let's see. So in 1995, for their line coinciding with the third film in the Batman franchise, Kenner created all new molds of the key characters and introduced new characters like Riddler and Two-Face from the film. Target had an exclusive line of toys with different paint jobs and alternate packaging. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, this line is of very little actual worth, and figures are often sold in lots on online auction sites. The most popular and valuable thing to come out of this series is probably the Batmobile, which regularly sells for around $100. So I think that all comes down to people looking back on Batman Forever with maybe negative perspectives. But as a kid, it just was insane. I wanted all of these toys. And I think I've talked to you guys before about the fact that Batman Forever was my first theatrical Batman experience. It's the first one I saw in theater. I was too young before then, so I just watched Batman and Batman Returns on VHS. But it's really cool to me that Kenner, they're all new molds. They did not reuse any molds for, Batman's body based on the Kenner, like Dark Knight collection or Batman Returns collection Keaton figure, which we didn't talk about this in the first episode, but the torso is definitely like the Superpowers Batman. I never really thought about it. If you look at the torso for Keaton and the torso for the Superpowers one, other than the belt sculpt, they're very, very similar. So these were like some of the first new molds for Batman as far as the Kenner line goes. And it wasn't always the same Batman either. You had different poses sculpt for them, and some of them, like, it wasn't just like a variation as far as a paint job. Some of them had like action features, like binoculars that popped up out of the shoulder, or things like that. And there was even like a movie accurate sculpt for the Panther suit, as well as the like sonar suit for the end of the movie. So there was a lot of different sculpts for these characters. Two-Face, I think, gets the shaft. He only gets one mold, and he only has 2 figures, like 2 different paint jobs. Riddler has, I think, 2 different sculpts and 4 different paint jobs, 4 or 5 across the field as far as his figure goes. And I think there's like Dick Grayson and Robin.
He's the bigger draw of the villains.
Yeah, he certainly is more toyetic, as we talked about before. Like Jim Carrey is kind of like a living action figure in the film,
right,
so I feel like he draws a lot more attention from kids. I know I was really excited as a kid seeing the trailer and knowing that he was going to be in the movie.
You guys, like Jim Carrey, I've always been a huge fan of him, and it's like some people think he's just too much, or it's just stupid slapstick comedy, but you got to remember our age group. Like I was, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't know, like during the 90s when these movies are coming out. He's a living Looney Tunes cartoon. I fucking loved Jim Carrey, and then he's in a fucking Batman movie. It was just it was the best.
Yeah. I loved him as a kid too because of like Jim Ace Ventura and The Mask and all that stuff. So it was just like I was going insane that he was going to be in the movie.
Yes, he was on a roll this time up until his first snag was The Truman Show, I think, and people liked that movie too, but it was a little bit like, I don't know. It was like when Will Smith did Wild Wild West, but maybe not as bad, but you know what I mean?
Definitely not as bad, but I think it's a tonal shift for him.
Yeah, he was definitely
I love the Truman Show.
Yeah, Truman Show's all right.
Did any of you guys have any of these figures growing up?
I did have the Riddler where he can trap your mind.
Yeah, like the brain drain helmet.
Yeah, the YouTube one, you can barely see it on the art here. You might have other pictures of it, but
yeah,
I had that one. I think I wanted a Two-Face one. The closest I had was the like small plastic figurine where he's still in the Arkham straitjacket and he's hiding behind Arkham Asylum, which is like alluding to the opening that was cut of him like leaving the asylum. So that was cool, but that's the closest that I got for that. And then I mentioned this in the last one, but my quick change Batman was not Keaton, it was Kilmer. So I had a Kilmer in the quick change Batman, which is also one of the weirdest Batman suits you could turn into for quick change, because he's like all armored up with like green highlights on his shoulders, and
blue
he's got like
and red.
He's got like green wings that come out. So I'm like, this isn't quite what I wanted, but it's still Batman, so this is cool. On it,
yeah,
I don't think I had any
is strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you,
any of the
Robert?
Robins, no Batmobiles.
What was that?
What about you, Robert? I think you told me that you never had any of these figures, or you just didn't have very many of them.
No, I think I maybe had Two-Face at one point. I wanted the quick change Robin, but I was never able to find him in the store. At this point, I think I had really got into Spider-Man and X-Men. This was close to that time period when they were really hot cartoons on TV. So I think it kind of drew me away from this stuff into that.
Oh,
this was
definitely
95, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to Robert. I was probably on the X-Men train and the Power Rangers train too, honestly, at this point.
I don't know how I forgot about that. Yeah, I was huge on Power Rangers.
Dude, yeah, it was just so big for a while. You couldn't find toys for that shit for a while. So yeah, it was and also this movie, I mean, I liked it as a kid, but I didn't like the designs as much. I mean, I like Jim Carrey, but even as a kid, I didn't like the Batmobile. I didn't like the Batsuit as much. So it just didn't draw me as much as the other toys did.
Talking about Power Rangers, I did do some customization of a Halloween costume because I had a Green Ranger suit
Nice.
But Batman Forever was coming up, and I was obsessed with the Riddler. So I turned that green costume inside out and took a Sharpie and drew question marks all over it.
Dude,
And
that's
of course,
awesome.
I was disappointed to find out that they bled through. So I ruined my Green Ranger costume, and I did end up getting like a Jim Carrey costume for Halloween. So all of that for nothing. But I was customizing a Green Ranger suit inside out just to be the Riddler.
Speaking of this, I did wear for Halloween this year the green Jim Carrey Riddler suit. But I remember, even though I was like 10 or 11, and I wasn't a chubby kid, but it's like this fully leotard-looking thing. And I remember being self-conscious about it, even at that age.
I thought you meant this year. When you said this year, I thought you meant like 2020
No.
Halloween.
No.
21, yeah.
In 95.
Okay.
Halloween of 95. Because there was a Halloween thing at school I remember we went to, and I wore that, and it was just like, I don't know, I didn't feel great about it.
I remember some kid crushed my plastic Riddler hat. I was so pissed. It was at a Halloween party, and I remember Hocus Pocus. All the kids were watching Hocus Pocus on TV, and I just remember the hat was really like flimsy already, but I remember some kid like just smashing the top of it. I was so mad.
Should have just beat him over the head with a Riddler cane.
I had the plastic cane. I should have.
Oh, nice. Love
so
the
here's so here's some artwork, some advertisement artwork of some of the different figures. So this is the Riddler figure for our YouTube viewers. I know these. I'm sorry to our podcast listeners because I feel like this episode and the last one are very visual heavy, just because we are looking at so many figures. But we'll try to describe them to you. Yeah, Brain Drain Riddler is kind of in the classic Riddler costume that Carrey has in the film, but he has a mini television strapped to his chest, and he's got like these kind of like knee braces and elbow braces on, and a backpack. He's holding like a lever on his elbow, and he has a silver backpack with like this kind of like the Brain Drain helmet from the film on a big metal arm that'll swing forward to go over top of people's heads. It's kind of this like band with goggles on it. So he was one of my first Riddler figures, and I remember like right after I got him, taking him to Applebee's. You know, someplace I'd never go. I would never go now. But I remember playing with him in Applebee's.
Loved it growing up, man. I loved Applebee's growing up, dude.
How our tastes have changed.
We are out to eat tonight, baby.
This Riddler also, what's cool is that it's almost like he's got the portable version of the box in a way to drain the brains, and he's also got the pairing of the hat with the leotard version, which is not version of the costume, which is not how he wore it in the movie. In the movie, he's usually the leotard with just the hair. He's only usually wearing the hat with the business suit Riddler look. So
yes, he only has a
compromise.
Yeah, he only has that bowler hat on. I'm gonna say I've seen the movie a bunch of times. I think he's only got it on for 2 scenes.
Yep.
I think that's when you first see him in the Riddler costume, and then whenever they go into Wayne Manor on Halloween night, when he's outside, he has it on. And I think that's it.
Also,
so it's weird.
With the diamonds, where he says, "Here's a good one."
That's right.
Two-Face has the huge one. Yeah, and he's like, "Here is a good one."
Yep, that's right. It's very brief. It's like such a visual, I would say like a key component to the Riddler's costume that he was advertised like that a lot, but did not have it on all the time.
Yeah, you've also got leotard.
Yeah, you've also got the first Two-Face figure, which is very accurate to the film. Pretty good likeness of Tommy Lee Jones, other than the good half having brown hair. But he's got kind of this machine gun, like triple blaster type thing. So you can set it up on 2 legs around, next to him and fire off these 3 like projectiles. He also, it's not pictured here, but he came with his coin, which was aluminum. And I loved that coin as a kid. I used to play with it all the time because I loved the sound that it made. It was like, it felt pretty accurate to the movie to have like a coin that was, the actual size. It was much bigger than him. And I told you guys I used to recreate Penguin's death in the bathtub. I did Two-Face's too. I would like stand him up on like something really tall, he's falling in the water, and I would kind of do that thing, where Batman's tossing up some coins and he falls off. Yeah, I don't know why. Villains' deaths were always very epic to me in those movies.
So
Did you drain the bathtub and then do Joker's death by just dropping him into the bathtub?
No, okay. I did not tell you guys about
that was
this.
Ace Chemical, bro.
No, so the first figure I had, that Joker Toy Biz one, I scraped the face off of it. I was so rough with it as a kid. We had a fireplace, and I would just pretend the fireplace was the edge of the building. I would just scrape him on down as he was falling, because I thought, well, this is realistic. So of course I got another one later, but as a kid I was, I was stupid. And then I looked at it later. It's like I got sad because his face was scraped off. But
God
I was
damn
pretty
it.
rough with that Joker.
You should make these tougher. Not to keep the water thing.
What if he uses the fireplace?
Not to keep my water theme going, but this Hydro Claw Robin is really cool looking too. It looks like he's got like yellow wings. That should be, but it should be maybe he's tanks or something, and he has like this full face mask with a hose or some shit. That's cool.
I'm glad you mentioned him, Andrew. Yeah. We are going to look at him closer because he's one of my favorite figures from this line.
He's really cool.
I really had a thing for the aquatic figures. There is like another kind of deep dive Batman. I swear it's called Manta Batman or something, and he's turquoise and green. I don't know if I have a picture of him specifically. He was one of my favorites, but I love this Hydro Claw Robin because of that cool kind of like yellow. It's like a jetpack, but it's for under the water. It's got like yellow fins on the back. He's got his kind of rebreather, like scuba gear on the front, and he's got this cool projectile claw like apparatus that he's got here. And his suit actually does have fins on it, like fins on the gloves and the boots. So I always thought he was really cool. Then you kind of have these. What to me, I had these figures, but they weren't my favorite Batman ones. They're very. I don't want to say like innocuous figures, but they don't look anything like Batman in the movie. You have Blast Cape Batman and Night Hunter Batman. That's the one with the binoculars that fly out of his shoulders. They just are. They're very weird looking to me, and they have unique sculpts, but they just don't stand out to me as being ones that I loved as a kid.
Blast Cape Batman to me looks like right here that we're looking at. It looks kind of like they're trying to be Keaton, sort of, but a lot more buff. I don't know. The cape's different and the yellow's different, but it looks more Keaton-y.
He's got a black suit, but it looks like it's based off some of the prototype sculpts of the Batman Forever suit I've seen. That's like you can see like the gray sculpts with Keaton's cast and stuff when they were. You talked about it, Ben, recently with your Batman 3 myths, but it's like the the sculpted parts of his musculature on his black suit are red. So he's got kind of these red details and like a yellow cape with like plastic, but also fabric combinations. And Night Hunter Batman is black and yellow with like a translucent glider type thing going on. So they're not my favorites, but
I keep staring at that thing because it just looks insane. It looks like he has two
busy
arms that are like Scarecrow from Arkham's like hands coming off.
Yeah, I'm like,
what are those
really
things?
I think they're just scythes. He's ready to cut some bad guys in half.
Gonna claw criminals.
This must have been taken from some other mold or something. This is just it's just kind of off.
It's more the Legends of the
For
Dark
the audio listener, they look like these little gray plastic, jagged but humongous scythe-looking things.
Humongous,
but just the blade.
Wolverine claws.
Yeah.
They I'm sure those accessories were reused from something else.
Yeah, definitely. It's like this is definitely not in the movie. I know how to take care of Two-Face and Riddler.
Here's some other figures. I love this talking Riddler figure. They actually had two of them. This one, of course, looks like the Vegas Riddler of the finale of the film with his silver sequin suit.
Vegas Riddler.
It is Vegas Riddler. That's what I'm going to call him. And then they also had the same body, but a different head sculpt. Basically, they just like flattened out the hair for his buzz cut. And it's like what I would say is the most movie accurate Riddler figure. There was another talking Riddler that was like just, the screaming green like tights bodysuit with black question marks and the flat top hairs. So I've actually got him. He was part of a 2-pack, so he's not a talking Riddler like this one, but they use the same body for the sculpt. So
these vehicle designs, cool. Man. It's this whole like H.R. Giger thing.
Yeah.
Like I just cannot get over it. And as a kid, I just did not respond to this at all, and I'm still the same way. I like Giger with Alien and shit, but with this kind of stuff, this or a Giger inspired rather, whatever.
It
it
also
is.
makes Batman look more of like an accessory, and the jet thing is like the actual figure. It's very imposing.
It's
maybe in a
UFO,
like a UFO alien toy, maybe, but the Batman thing, no. It's just a no. From me.
I don't like these ancillary vehicles. So they're not really the Bat Wing, and they're not the Batmobile or the Batboat. They're just like these kind of random vehicles and jetpacks and gliders, and they, we talked about, or at least I can't remember if you guys talked about it with Batman and Robin, but I know that when they were making the toys, they made them so far ahead of time that they were taking the concept art for the film and basing a lot of the action figures and vehicles off of that.
That happened.
So I wonder if the same thing happened for Batman Forever, because it does have that Giger inspired look, but they, it certainly isn't a vehicle that appears on film. So they are just kind of these random vehicles. And of course, this is another ad we're looking at, and we still don't have like a film accurate Batman, which these are really cool, but it did bother me as a kid when I would go to the store and like look at these. I had a bunch of Batman Forever figures, but it was like, why can't I just find Batman in that black costume? That's that's what I wanted,
Right.
Yeah, so they're cool and all, but I would say Batman, even though there's a lot more variants, and going even further, variants of the sculpts and the paint jobs. But he is probably the least interesting figure out of this line, because you have like new villains and you've got like a new Robin. So Batman, they took so many liberties with his look that it made him less interesting. I think they should have stuck with more realistic ones.
This one, this Recon Hunter one, is that like a trench coat, or is that part of the ship that's over? It's like a strap in.
I think it's part of the like chest plate, like that you're strapping that big ass glider thing onto him. It looks like an Independence Day vehicle.
I know.
Yes.
It's just, oh man, I just don't like it.
We will not go into the night.
Like Batman is gonna die strapped to that thing. If anything goes wrong, it is humongous. I don't know what kind of jet fuel it takes to run it.
Straight up his taint. That's what it looks like. As soon as everything takes off.
Yeah.
So
these definitely look like definitely looks like a Batman versus Aliens thing.
Yeah, it's very
Batman versus
bizarre.
Aliens, yeah.
Hey, let's remember that. That's going to be a new one. Well, there is that comic book.
We covered that shit.
Spinoff. Yeah, that's right.
Mecca made a couple of sets of that.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that, actually.
That whole deal. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I want a Batman Independence Day crossover, so I'm going to stick with that one. Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith, Val Kilmer, Chris O'Donnell. Let's do it.
That movie
it's around the same time period too, so it works.
The movie holds up too.
That's true.
Well, both these do, but Independence Day surprisingly holds up really well, I think.
So I did want to point these two out. These are my favorite figures from the toy line. So we already talked about Hydro Assault. Why I wrote Hydro Assault? I was wrong. Hydro Claw Robin and Neon Armor Batman. So other than the villains like Two-Face and Riddler, because I loved them as a kid, these are my two favorite figures from the line of toys. And the Neon Armor Batman one, I do admit, looks insane. It is, to me, like what people most associate negatively with Batman Forever is like, ooh, the Neon Knights and stuff like that. He literally has neon armor. But if you take that off, it is the sonar suit, but it's black. And the musculature is translucent dark blue. So I really like the way that he looks with it off. But I really remember this figure because I never told you guys this, but I had like a blood disorder as a kid. So my mom had to take me to Duke Hospital in North Carolina once a month to get like these tests done. And every time we would go, like, it was always a traumatic experience. But I do remember one time she gave me this Batman like before we went there. So I did have like one moment of like happy feelings, like looking at it in the box and playing with it. But it was like, oh, I'm going to have to go and get something like bad done, like needle stuff. So I was like, this was like at least one good memory I had from that. So these two figures are definitely my favorite from the line, even though that's not the most film-accurate Batman. I do, yeah. He's really cool. I did lose some of his armor, but I still like the figure underneath.
Okay. He's cool. I like him too.
Here's our quick change Bruce Wayne that Ben was talking about.
Yeah, you would think that
this is the first.
Considering the fact that you would think that considering the fact that there's the regular suit that they call the Panther suit, and then the sonar suit at the end, that would have led to at least some version of either one. So it's weird that the closest you've got to the sonar suit is this neon armor one. Once you take the neon off, and then there's not really a version with the quote unquote Panther suit. So I'm like, this is strange. That's why people are. I'm trying to remember the company that did it, but they recently came up with a. Robert might know this. Like there's like a maybe it's Hot Toys.
Film accurate.
Oh yeah.
Film accurate Batman.
I thought it was
Forever,
a
and I'm
DC
like,
Select. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and I'm like, I think like that one people are not only going crazy over because of just Batman Forever being more accepted, but also because, as we can see, there wasn't really anything like that at that time. We had this instead.
Yeah, Robert, what was it wasn't Hot Toys. There is a smaller figure. I never got him because he never came out in stores, and he got so freaking expensive that I never bought him online, but they did do a Panther suit Kilmer Batman.
It was Mattel made it. It's not DC Superheroes, but it's DC Multiverse.
DC Multiverse, yeah.
Linda Carter and the TV version of the Flash, and I think they did a Penguin maybe that was in that same scale. It actually looks like Danny DeVito. They were about to lose that license. They were doing the best stuff that they had done in years right before they lost that license. It was a real shame.
Yeah, it really bothered me that I never got it because I was like, oh, I really wish I did have them because, yeah, Ben, I was wrong earlier. For some reason, I thought they did have a Panther suit Batman, but they did not. They did have a film-accurate sonar suit, but it was part of a double pack. It's like the Guardians of Gotham pack with a pretty film-accurate Robin as well. The only difference for that one is that they both have plastic capes. They don't have fabric ones. And Robin's plastic cape is like a solid gold. It isn't black on the outside and gold on the inside, which that's the only real thing that bothered me. Otherwise, he's pretty close. And if you look at some of the other Robin figures from the line, his outfit and mask looks a little closer to some of the concept art for Robin's costume. So I can tell they definitely are sculpted off of some earlier designs that didn't quite make it to the film. So they're very subtle. But yeah, this quick change Bruce Wayne, and I put it in my notes too, it's the first one they did that was not like one that you slide a hollow mask on top of. He is like the shadow figure where you shove his head down, and this the head and mask and cowl and torso are all one solid plastic piece that you're clipping on over his headless body. So it's really weird. It never bothered me as a kid, but I do like the other ones where you're like sliding the mask over a solid head. It feels a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, I hear you on this, but yeah, this was my Batman figure as a kid. And it's interesting because of just how different the colors are, as we can see in the YouTube version. It also seems like these pictures, the colors are a little different. The armor's a little bit more blue, and there's reds as opposed to greens in here. Also, you can see that with this. And then for some reason, Kilmer's Bruce Wayne has red cuffs or something, as opposed to gray ones in the action figure.
I guess it's one of the
it's a Target exclusive
colors. Yeah, looks like.
It's a Target exclusive. You can see that on the bottom corner, and instead of having the Bob Larkin illustration, they just have the Batman Forever poster. So yeah, the colors are slightly different for the figure.
I must have gotten the Target exclusive because I grew up with the one that's on the right for the YouTube viewers. I grew up with that one in terms of those colors. I'm not recognizing the one on the left.
We didn't have It does. We didn't have a Target near us for a long time growing up, so I usually got toys at Walmart or something. But I had the one with the red cuffs. If you even look at the one in the Target exclusive box, that Bruce Wayne's hair is lighter. It probably looks a little bit more like Val Kilmer. So there's some slightly different colors on the paint job, but that's pretty much what the Target exclusives were. They were just slightly different. I think the Brain Drain Riddler had a paint variation where his suit was almost like a metallic mint green, and his black basically the black designs on him were silver. But they did do another brain drain Riddler, the exact same figure, but another repaint Kenner did, which they just reversed the colors. So everything that was black is green, and everything that was green is black. So I have both of those figures, but they're both kind of cool. But yeah, it's weird that they just did a repaint and use that. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I did make I said in my notes that this is the same gimmick that they used for the Alec Baldwin Shadow figures. So it seemed like they did that for quite a few figures at the time.
I mean, it's a great design. It's a great gimmick. It's a great idea. I think it's interesting. I grew up with a Target exclusive. Now I didn't realize that, but looking at these, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely the one I grew up with.
Does he have red hair?
Yeah, he has brownish hair, which makes sense because Kilmer's hair is lighter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It looks like assless chaps. The armor on his legs.
Wait, what?
Well, that's how that stuff.
He's talking about the blue armor.
Like I mentioned before, that Superman, that it doesn't clasp at the back. It's just like you're just getting a front forward showing, like, set.
You got to protect the side of your leg real good.
You see some jeans.
Don't let that cape
Everything is protected
by.
except for my inner thighs.
That's
where better not go for the inner thighs.
That's right. You got to watch those femoral arteries, Batman.
I know,
dude. Growing up at this time, we didn't even have Target where I was growing up at this time.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that didn't reach the South just yet.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't remember it as a kid very much.
Late 90s, maybe.
Yeah, these are some of the vehicles for Batman Forever. So of course we have the Batmobile and the Batboat, and it looks like this Batmobile transforms. It's 3 vehicles in one, so you can transform it into the Batboat and the Batwing. I actually remember having a Batwing that the wings could clip off of, and it turned into the Batboat, but it was like a harder plastic. I don't remember it being like the Batmobile they have down there, but you also have this. They had a couple of these kind of Mighty Max play sets where it was like I had one of Batman's head and one of Riddler's head that you could open up, and it had like the figures inside of it, like the little Mighty Max tiny figures. But this one is the Batmobile, and if you open it up, it looks like it is the maybe the Riddler's lair inside. I kind of see a big brain drain thing going on. I can't tell exactly. The Riddler one I remember was his lair inside, and the Batman one was the Batcave inside, and that one came with Two-Face. Yeah. They also had some
really
walkie-talkies.
Cool, I would have loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having the walkie-talkies of Riddler and Batman's heads too. So yeah, they really got their money's worth as far as the imagery and licensing of these people's likenesses, like Batman and Riddler. Something too that I don't think I have a picture of it, but for some of the artwork, merchandising wise, I remember they had it on birthday plates because it was 1 year for my birthday, and also for like school supplies. They reused the artwork for the Killing Joke, and they actually, I don't know if Brian Boland did it or another artist just kind of traced on top of it, but they replaced the Joker with Riddler. So if you see like some of this artwork, it's like Batman holding up Riddler like by his suit, and Riddler's hands are kind of like this on the side, and he's looking at Batman. I'll have to show you guys later because it is interesting to look at because I have a plate with that artwork on it in here, but it's clearly Joker. They just put Riddler's hat on top and made him flesh colored and changed his outfit, and they made Batman look like Val Kilmer's suit. But it's the exact same pose from like some of the. It might be either a Killing Joke panel or some artwork for the Killing Joke. But I always thought that was kind of interesting that they did that.
Yeah, send those over to me, Zach, so I can like see if I can put that together for an image in the notes or for our Instagram.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's something I forgot to mention in here. Not Bob Larkin, but it definitely is like a clear ripoff from the Brian Boland Killing Joke stuff. So, also last time we talked about the fact that this Batman. Wayne Manor Batcave Command Center was reused over and over again. Well, here's our Batman Forever version that actually has a green interior to the Bat Vault, and you can see Val Kilmer snapped in, his belt snapped against the wall there. You spin him around, you can put Batman in there, so he's changing quickly. You got Hydro Claw Robin up on the top there. I don't know how he's managing to get up the stairs with that. He's not even near the water. He's got to walk up the stairs and that shit, bumping his little jetpack thing around Alfred's, I'm sure he's mad at him.
He's like, I gotta die from the second floor, though.
That's right, onto the hard concrete. And in the Batcave Command Center, they actually have some stickers of Riddler and Two-Face. Hard to see in this imagery, but I like how the box art all has this consistent theme. It's like they picked a color spectrum for each toy line. So like Batman Returns is kind of like purple and blue. I think the Dark Knight collection is more like magenta and reds, or magenta and blue. It's like slightly different, a lot more magenta to me. And then, of course, when we get to Batman and Robin, it's going to be a lot of red. So for Batman Forever, this is like a spectrum of yellow, green, and blue. It's like they're utilizing those logo colors for the box art, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, it fits. It's smart.
This is something I was envious of. Never had it as a kid. It is enormous, but it is the Batman Forever Batcave set. Look at how small this child is on the far left of this picture. Like, you would already have to have a pretty big room to set this shit up in. So for the listeners for our podcast, there's like 3 platforms that this Batcave is made up of. So you've got a platform for the Batmobile. You got stairs going up to a separate platform that looks like it has some kind of bear trap. And then you have another platform going up where he's got his computers and shit. And you've got these kind of archways built in there with a zip line. It's just insane. It's huge.
This is crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. I never would have had the room for this as a kid. And I don't know, like, this is for Richie Rich or something, because this is, like, enormous. But it looks awesome.
Devoted just for this.
Slightly before you guys' time. It was a little bit before my time, but the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier toy. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That thing was fucking humongous.
Yeah.
This reminds me of that. I didn't know this existed. This is crazy.
It's impressive. I never saw it as a kid either. I doubt that my parents would have bought it for me, but it's seeing it later. I've seen it in a commercial, but it is really insane. It's something that I would have loved to have played with, but just the fact that like you'd have to have room for it is pretty. It's like,
are you a kid
pretty
with
crazy?
A 12-foot table?
I think so.
Something for you.
After a while, I think I wanted to say this in the last episode, but I don't think I was too much of a playset kid. I like the vehicles, I like the action figures, but I think for the playset, well, A, they were just like way expensive, and then B, you know, this is what Legos were for. You can incorporate your Legos to make whatever Batcave or whatever you wanted, you know. So, just
I really
didn't need it
them either.
Yeah.
I didn't have them. I think it was just action figures, and the world was your playset.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
The one I remember having a lot was the Batcave Command Center, and I liked that it could fold up and you could put it somewhere out of the way. I remember having my grandpa that collected stuff had like this castle play set that was for some other thing. It wasn't Castle Grayskull. It was just kind of a random knight's castle, and sometimes I would pretend that was like Penguin's Lair because it had a moat and kind of like a dungeon type area, and it was stone. Cool. So I was like, oh, you know, you can use your imagination and really play around with this. So it's cool that they made it, but it's also, you know, if you don't have the money for it, kids have imagination, so you can really use anything.
It also like, it's, I don't know, it's a little bit bare bones, even though it's huge, but at the same time, not much to it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's also like if you get the Batcave, but you don't get the figures, you're not gonna like that. You know? So you got the Batcave. Do you have Batman? No.
Right.
Exactly.
I'd rather have the figures and no playset than the playset and no figures.
Yeah.
This is all about the zip line too. Really.
Oh yeah.
You could just get a zip line from something else.
Yeah.
You know.
Attach a string from one part of your house to the next, and just have Batman go through that. You don't need to buy this for $200 and have a 12-foot table in order to have this Batcave.
Speaking of doing shit outside of the playset, real quick, this is gonna relate. But whenever we saw Demolition Man, you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they cryogenically freeze. So me and my brothers went through this whole phase of freezing our toys, the action figures in a cup or something, and be like, "Oh shit, I didn't say shit probably. Oh man, it's cryogenically frozen, Batman."
I did the same thing, Andrew. I broke a glass cup doing that one time.
Oh really?
I figured out to only do it in plastic because I would thaw them out too. I wanted to like thaw them out, so I would use Mr. Freeze. Like I would make it like these freezing characters. So I remember thawing them out and breaking a glass cup with that. But I used to have one of those Red Ryder wagons. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or a Radio Flyer wagons.
Yeah.
And I would just fill it with water outside. And when it snowed, I would like put action figures partway in the water. And then I'd go out there the next day when everything was frozen and I'd have Mr. Freeze like stomping around on the ice, and there'd be like half frozen Batman and Robins in there. So it was kind of like I'd make my own playset with that.
Was it from Demolition Man though, or was it just from Mr. Freeze?
No, mine was just Mr. Freeze stuff. I don't think I ever had any Demolition Man action figures.
I didn't have the toys, but I just remember loving the movie, and I was probably too young for it, but I was like, oh shit, we can freeze our toys. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, we have talked enough about Batman Forever. It's time to move on to Batman Total Justice.
Oh, shit.
So, after 10 years of almost exclusively producing Batman action figures, Kenner decided to get back in the broader DC universe with Batman Total Justice in 1996. That's right, even their all-inclusive DC properties now bore Batman titles. Only 14 figures were released, 2 of which were Batman. Before the series was discontinued due to overwhelming consumer indifference, limited checklist coupled with limited interest makes this set incredibly easy to assemble, and the entire series can often be purchased at once for less than $100. So
this is
nice.
20 years too early, I think.
I think so.
Because people don't care about the other characters right now.
Yeah, me and Robert were talking about this when I told him we were going to do this episode. And Robert, this is the Darkseid action figure I had as a kid. Okay. He has like this weird claw thing on his gauntlet that I really remember. And I didn't even know who Darkseid was at the time, but I thought he looked cool. So I had Darkseid, I had this Batman and Robin, and I had the Aquaman that has the harpoon hook. So these are all very comic book sculpts. They are very dynamic looking. It's kind of like Batman, the Legends of Batman figures, where they're very I like their poses. They had a hard time standing up compared to some of the other figures, but I like that they're kind of like, they all have this really wide kind of wrestler stance.
Who's a purple mohawk dude?
Is that Despero?
I think that's Despero.
Despero?
Yeah. Okay.
You got a Huntress figure in there, Andrew. You ought to be excited.
I see that.
There's no midriff, though. This was before Hush.
I'll let it slide this time. What is this Superman gun thing?
He's shooting some Superman juice out of it, some Superman lightning.
Superman juice sounds
okay.
Well,
what was
it
the
looks
name
like
of
kryptonite.
The Batman? Yeah, it looks like it.
I can't remember exactly what his figure was called. This is what he looks like without that stupid fucking armor on.
Yeah, I don't like that armor.
I liked this better. I had this figure, and they also released it as a double set with Superman, and they had a different paint job. The blue was just black. But this Batman has no underwear. He just has like blue crotch. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
He looks naked partially because of that, and partially because he doesn't have a cape. He has these wing things instead. So...
Yeah, and they actually do move. They kind of like can rotate, and it's interesting.
Weird. Yeah.
It is.
This line I was super into. And I think it's because I was really into comics at the time. And I don't know. I mean, like in the 90s, it seemed like there was a point where action figures kind of moved very towards that Batman Forever thing, where everything had to have like a weird armor and like a color scheme and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes I was just like, I just want Spider-Man. Like, I just want Batman.
Classic, yeah.
This line was cool because it was kind of both. Like, they had that armor that you could put on them, but underneath they were basically just good representations of the comic characters.
Yeah, just like those standard costumes, because as a kid, I did not give two shits about that armor on him. I mean, we can see it here. It's like kind of silvery. It's organic looking, and he has this extra helmet on top with a red visor, and I don't know what the hell I did with that as a kid. I don't remember this armor at all. I must have chucked it into the toy box.
The only one
immediately
that I kept
because
was the stuff on Kyle Rayner because it made sense, like for him to have.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
but for Batman, it's just weird.
Well, on Superman, he doesn't. Obviously, Superman needs it the least, but it
Right.
it does look a little cooler than Batman's for some reason. To me,
Yeah,
anyway. I kind of like this armor here.
It's just weird. I think this is actually called like Fractal Armor Batman, if I'm not mistaken, because I did have to find a bunch of pictures of the stuff. I don't
What
know
does
if
that
I wrote it
mean?
down,
They're
but
just finding words.
I think fractal sounded cool.
That's it. That's all there is to it.
Probably
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Either that or this one is Fractal Armor Batman, which unfortunately his armor does not come off. I think the visor comes off.
What?
And this weird, like, extra arm backpack thing shooting the, like, magenta projectile can come off. But he looks like he should be cooler. Like, he has a black suit with a yellow emblem on underneath. But this, this extra kind of, like, organic armor is sculpted onto the figure. And I don't like that. I'd rather be able to take it off and have the black figure underneath.
That mask makes
Also,
him
the blowback of that.
real dork.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's too big. It looks like he's
The
wearing
blowback
like a
from that
virtual reality
missile.
helmet.
Yeah, the blowback from that missile is going to basically blow his head off once he shoots anything. Like,
Yeah.
the placement of that is pretty
It's certainly
bad.
going to singe his lips. I mean, those are exposed right there.
Yeah.
They gave him a lot of projectiles for a guy that doesn't like guns.
It's an energy projectile. It's
fine
safe.
as long as it's
This-
not a
Sure,
handgun.
yeah.
It can be on a car. It
That's
can be
right.
on a shoulder. It's fine.
This almost looks like to me it could have this is like could have been in like a sci-fi manga or something, like a Japanese
Yes.
take on Batman. Then I guess I could almost like be okay with it if that was the case, but this is just some random variant toy, right?
Well, there was only 2 Batman figures released for the line, so I guess
Yeah.
they thought we already made one Batman figure that if you took off the armor, it's the classic Batman, so this one can be a little different. So I'll go a little bit further into this. There is a storyline accompanying this particular toy line, so there's like
Whoa.
a story that goes along with it. So the storyline from the back of the packaging reads as such. On a distant planet, an evil being known as Darkseid prepares for his invasion and destruction of Earth. Batman learns of this diabolical plan and recruits the world's mightiest superheroes in an all-out assault on Darkseid's forces. So I guess this is supposed to be how the Justice League is coming together and what they have to do in order to fight Darkseid. So I guess everybody needs armor now. It's kind of like the tactical suit that Batman has in the Justice League. Like everybody's got it. So there is at least they had a storyline to go along with this particular toy line.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just, as I said, it's like maybe 20 years too early, where not enough people are familiar with these characters. We haven't had the Justice League cartoon yet. At most, we've gotten the Superman cartoon. Like, we haven't had enough of these other characters in order for people to be like, oh yeah, I want the Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, unless you're a hardcore comic book fan.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it was Kenner just trying to branch out a little bit. I mean, it was their first time since Superpowers they actually got to do some other Justice League characters, I think. So I don't know. At least for that line, I'm sure they did like the Superman the animated series figures, but I guess that might have been 1997 or something like that. I feel like that came out a little later. So I thought these figures were cool as a kid. I loved the harpoon-handed Aquaman. I thought he was pretty cool, and I loved the Darkseid figure. I just thought overall he was kind of a cool-looking bad guy. So that's pretty much it for Total Justice. So it's time to move on to everyone's favorite Batman on film, and that is Batman and Robin. And now I think it's time to take a quick Bat break.
Here at Chat of the Wild, our Game Club podcast, we have been using our lens of truth to do deep dives on the Legend of Zelda series, in order, covering 1 to 2 dungeons each episode. Our show also looks at Zelda-likes, such as Crusader of Senti, Golden Axe Warrior, and the bizarre journey of For the Frog, The Bell Tolls. Join us right now as we play Ari and the Secret of Seasons, our first new release since Season 1, or check out our past seasons breaking down nearly 20 action-adventure titles. New episodes drop every Wednesday, here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with Barkbox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right, one free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the Barkbox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you.
I said a Darkseid. His name is a Darkseid. Say it with me.
Darkseid.
Yes, he's coming. The Lord is coming. The Dark Lord is coming. His name is a Darkseid. I'm bringing the souls to you. I'm bringing your souls to him. Say it with me now, everybody. I said a Darkseid.
A Darkseid.
Lord have mercy, look who is here today. Lord Darkseid here.
Glorious Godfrey, we need to talk.
Oh, Darkseid, yes. I've been here preaching to the masses the glorious name that is yours.
I'm flattered by that, Godfrey, but it seems a little much.
What would be a little too much about this form? This is the language that they speak, Master.
When I sent you here for Earth, Godfrey, I did not expect you to be, I don't know, on television so much. I was hoping you would just get me souls. Instead, you've been on TV for the past 48 hours. It seems it's a little aggressive.
Well, I've been having fun in the colonies, and I just find it so bombastic and fun, my lord.
Well, by your count, how many souls have you collected for Apocalypse?
Oh, at this rate, probably 400,000, my liege. Perhaps even more. They love this character on TV and the Zoom and the TikTok and whatnot. I've got my entire social media shit working really well, my lord.
Well, that's very impressive. I heard TikTok is very popular these days.
Yes, it is, indeed.
Very impressive numbers, Godfrey. Perhaps this will actually work. I was not expecting so many people to fall for something so obvious.
You would be surprised, my lord. There's a phrase here on this planet, when in Rome, do as the Romans. And I am merely doing as such. I'm sure you understand. In all of your excellence.
Well then, there's not much I can complain about. It seems like obvious brainwashing to me, but to them, if they are eating it up, then continue doing what you're doing. Give me the souls for Apocalypse.
I mean, at this rate, my lord, you wouldn't even need the anti-life equation.
I wouldn't?
We've already bent them to our will as much as possible already, I believe. But, I don't know, maybe a little extra zhuzh with the anti-life equation will send them over even further.
I've spent my whole life trying to find the anti-life equation. If without the anti-life equation, I don't know what to do with my life.
I leave that to you and your excellence to figure out.
It would cut down on a lot of work just to have them as they are right now, just bending to my will without need for the equation. Seems like it'd be a lot easier.
Indeed, my lord.
Perhaps I should just make some appearances like now, every now and then. So that they keep believing.
My lord, I know this is strange, but it's weird. The less you show up, the more they require belief. I do enjoy being in your presence. Do not take this the wrong way.
This seems too good to be true, Godfrey. You're saying that I need to not do anything just for them to believe in me?
I mean, maybe have people draw pictures about you, but that's really about it.
Well, then I'll just go back to Apocalypse and sit.
Rule by Zoom. Or something.
I'll call up DeSaad to set up my Zoom account.
My lord, you have rang.
DeSaad, set up my Zoom account. It is time that I work remotely from Apocalypse.
This is excellent news, my master, but I am not a fucking IT department.
DeSaad, you speak that way to me again, and you will be at the other end of the Omega Beams. Set me up the Zoom account and give me one of those virtual backgrounds, preferably the ones with the cute kitties.
Anime kitties, my lord!
Sure, that's your thing.
Well, I guess I should get back to these cretins.
Thank you very much, Godfrey.
Yes, it is always a pleasure, Darkseid. I always want to be on your good side. Wait, if you have one, that is, my lord. I'm confused on that one, but anyway, I will return to my own devices.
Keep doing what you're doing. This was a lot easier than I thought.
Praise the Darkseid. Oh my God! What is going on? This guy's a voice.
And now the real game begins. Wrong movie,
Perfect.
but we are talking about the next installment of Joel Schumacher's Batman, and that's Batman and Robin, everyone's favorite Batman film.
Oh man!
By far the largest fucking toy line I think we're going to talk about.
Naturally,
possibly even bigger than the animated series. It's like, I just remember going to Toys R Us after watching Batman and Robin in the theater, and the aisle just being like all red and white and black Batman and Robin stuff. Just like looking around, like being overwhelmed by the amount of toys. So, I mean, we can even see from this advertisement here, I was talking about the color schemes they had for each toy line to go along with the box art. So it's kind of cool that it was, I see a lot of red and white and some red and black on some other advertisements. It's like they're always pulling from the logo itself. Yeah, I just remember, I love these toy advertisements being in like these little booklets. I don't know if they came in the mail or if they came with certain figures, but I remember having a couple of them, and it would just be like an advertisement for Kenner Toys, and just being super excited to look through them. Did you guys ever get those from other toys?
Yeah, occasionally they're packed in with stuff. I've opened some older stuff recently that they would have. It'd be like, I don't know if it was like a season or a year or something, but it was like, you know, a good sized booklet with a bunch of Kenner products.
Yeah, I just loved seeing them. I would like pore over them as a kid.
Yeah.
So, as we're talking about Batman Forever, we need to jump into 1997. Perhaps the downfall of the 90s, as we're straying further away from God's light and closer to Batman and Robin. Kenner released their fourth line of toys based on Batman films, and like many experienced with the film, it was a disappointment. This line does include various versions of each villain, 6 variants of Arnie's Mr. Freeze alone, a first for Kenner, as well as 12-inch figures, but their value may be less than contemporary retail value. In February 2016, a lot of 5 figures from this line sold for less than $20. Of course, if you're a fan of the movie and want to, if you want an inexpensive entry point into collecting Batman action figures, this is a great place to begin. I will admit that I do have all the villains from this toy line. I'm a completionist, and I do have Poison Ivy, Bane, and Mr. Freeze in the box. But I do have just a couple of Batman and Robin figures themselves, and I do have the Batgirl. But this one had just an insane amount of variants, and I wish they had an Arctic Batman. I think they have an Ice Blade Batman, but this seems like the perfect line to have an update of Arctic Batman with like a white and black costume, but I think the Ice Blade Batman is silver.
They changed
like all
costumes
silver
at the end just to have this action figure, and they don't do it.
They do actually. Okay, so they do that. That specific figure is real. It's part of like a 2-pack, and it's actually chrome plated. So the silver parts in the movie are like chrome plating on the black plastic, which I do admit it looks cooler than how he looks in the movie. I just wish there was like a white suited Arctic Batman. I feel like that would just look really cool and it would fit for this toy line. But as you can see from this advertisement, you got kind of chrome plated Mr. Freeze, who is actually one of the closest I guess, film accurate Mr. Freezes. Some of the early Freeze figures that I had, which is like the one on the bottom row to the right, is actually based on the concept art for Mr. Freeze, which he's got some cool translucent blue pieces in his body. But his suit actually...
Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
I have that one.
He's got like red goggles and kind of a metallic blue costume. And Poison Ivy has like an all green bodysuit, but just kind of random, just flat hair. It's not like the kind of the, what am I thinking of? It's like the horn hair that's based on like not medieval statues, but some older statues I've seen of. I'm thinking Moses even. They're like horns built into the hair. I had to learn that in art history, but I can't think of like what time frame it came from. I don't know if it was Roman or Greek statues, but her hair is based off that, where it kind of has horns in the movie. Those pieces that are sticking up. You never see that in any of the figures. It's kind of just a generic kind of wavy, flat hairstyle for Poison Ivy. And the Bane figure is actually much more accurate to the comic book than the one in the film, which actually makes him really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Look, Ben is
way cooler than the one in the movie.
Let's see. Ben, hold that up for us. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
so Ben actually has the figure from the movie. He's got this kind of gauntlet with a spike on it, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, he really looks like a classic Bane figure from the comics, like the Nightfall storyline. So I actually remember him being one of my favorites as a kid. I just thought he looked really cool. I never really thought about the fact that he didn't have the green, veiny, or like I would say yellow-green skin with a dog collar and everything on. So he's actually a pretty cool figure for this toy line. So I think he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty damn accurate to the comics, at least.
And as we can see from this advertisement, no film-accurate Batman and Robin figures in sight. I guess the Iceboard Robin has like a dark navy blue bodysuit with the kind of Nightwing symbol that's red, so that's kind of close. Batgirl is actually pretty accurate, except for the fact that she has a cowl.
I remember.
So it's definitely
like I think I saw the figure first or something, and I remember when I actually watched the movie, I was very irritated that like her hair was out.
Yeah, she has like a Robin mask on film, whereas this one is clearly based on the concept art that I've seen before, which I don't know if Bob Larkin did the concept art or not. It actually seems pretty similar, but yeah, she has a cowl on for much of the costume concept art for the film before they decided to just let it be Alicia Silverstone with a Robin mask. So she does wear a cowl for like 5 seconds when she's riding the kind of
motorcycle helmet,
ice blade motorcycle thing. But yeah, we kind of got gypped on that. I think the action figure looks much cooler than she does.
Yeah. Yep. Zach, are you going to cover the most important character in this, which is Frostbite on the bottom right?
Yes, I was going to say, this is the first time since the Toy Biz toy line that we actually have a henchman, and it's Mr. Freeze's henchman, which I always thought his name was Frosty. He calls him that in the movie, but this is Frostbite.
I think so too.
Frosty? Who is unfortunately pigeon-toed. His toes point together.
Yeah, he is.
Which he does stand up all right, but he just looks like one of the members of the hockey team from hell, and he's got a hockey stick and some translucent blue armor that clips onto him, which is kind of superlative because he already, or what's the word I'm looking for? Superfluous, because he already has armor on as a figure. It's like, does he need all this extra armor?
I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Frosty, because isn't Frosty in some sort of like parka fuzzy coat thing before Freeze freezes him? This just looks like they just named a Freeze henchman. They're like, just call him Frostbite. That sounds
I don't know, because when they're fighting, they all have those masks on, but when they're hanging out with Mr. Freeze in his lair, licking on the frozen TV dinners, they all don't have masks on, so maybe he is Frosty. I don't know. The world may never know.
This is Frosty before he got frozen by Mr. Freeze in that moment.
That's right. He's a little bit more badass with his
movie.
with his Casey Jones hockey mask. But
yes,
this is it's an interesting line. But I was going to show you guys. We do have a bunch of Mr. Freeze figures.
Whoa!
So Jesus. I believe the one on the top left is the exact same mold as the one we were talking about. That's I have a side view of them up on the top right there. It's the same mold, I believe. Maybe a little bit different. He's got piping on him. Different. You know, actually, I don't think it's the same mold. So that's already two different molds for Mr. Freeze. I think the same head sculpt, different color scheme, still based on the concept art because that's not how he looks in the finished film. Then I think the one on the top right is like, the Mr. Freeze figure from the movie. He has a silver armored costume with a face that is much more accurate to Arnold. They use that same mold for this one in the center, which I know Robert would love because he is almost all translucent blue.
That's what I was saying. Whoa, over. I've never seen that before, and I love it.
Yeah. I think he was an exclusive of some kind. It says A Cold Night in Gotham City. I do believe that was for another 2-pack. There was multiple 2-packs with Mr. Freeze and Batman. So you've got this one. You also have that same Mr. Freeze figure on the bottom right, which has like a chrome coloring for that armor, which is really cool. He probably looked maybe he's even closer to the on-screen appearance. Then next to him, you have this other Mr. Freeze that has like a blast-off armor. So he has armor that you can clip onto him, and underneath he has like a bodysuit that's kind of, I would say like, it looks like thermal piping. So maybe that's what's under his armor. And then you also have this Mr. Freeze on the bottom left, which is kind of like the one from the film, but he has those moth wing, like the wings that pop out when he's escaping from the rocket at the beginning of the film, and he has goggles on. So he actually looks like he does in the film for about 5 seconds. So this is a lot of Mr. Freeze.
I feel like this comes about because Arnold is the star that he is. You know,
I think so.
You got to have action figures with this because, like, Nicholson was a bigger actor than Keaton at the time of '89, but also Batman was the draw of that. And neither Nicholson nor Keaton are like big like action stars drawing kids in. But Arnold at this point is 97. He's done so many things.
Yeah.
Clooney is definitely not bringing the kids in.
No.
On this one. That guy from
Arnold,
ER, we have to see it.
Arnold did
Arnold who brings us in.
Kindergarten Cop, and then what was that?
Terminator.
Last Action Hero.
The toy one with Turbo Man.
Yeah,
Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way. Yeah.
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Like these are like huge kids hits on top of his R-rated shit he'd been doing for years. You know, so yeah, he was just
think about
huge at this time.
Yeah.
Arnold got top billing for this film, and I will say.
Oh, really?
At this time, I think this is the most variants a villain has ever gotten, a Batman villain for action figures, because they did, I would say over the span of time, there probably is more variants of the Kenner Batman, the animated series Joker figure, because I know there's been a lot of repaints of that one, Machine Gun Joker, and the New Adventures Joker that we'll see in a little bit too. That one got repainted and redistributed so many times. I think in the end, Joker probably still wins out as a character of having more action figures. But as far as 1997 goes, I think that this is probably the most variants a villain has ever gotten. And it's surprising that it's Mr. Freeze, but not surprising that it's Arnold, because like we said, he was hot in 1997. Yeah. Everybody wanted Arnold for their movies, so...
This is probably the most Mr. Freeze action figures at one time that will ever happen.
Oh, absolutely. So it's a weird time capsule thing, if you really think about it. So I thought it was cool. I wanted to fit them all on one page so we could take a look at them. Here's some more advertisements. Again, there is that Batcave Command Center where you can see on the back they've repainted the Access Chemicals to be Mr. Freeze's lair by basically just making it blue and white. Batgirl looks like she's standing on that fucking trap door, so she's the one that's gonna fall in that tank of liquid nitrogen, I guess. And you actually have, I would say, if you look up in the upper left-hand corner, that two-pack with Robin and Poison Ivy is one of my favorites because Robin has like his colors are reversed, so his bodysuit is like a metallic red, and he has a black Nightwing symbol and a black cape. And Poison Ivy has like a mostly black bodysuit with some green detailing, which actually reminds me of like some of her current comic book appearances where she has like a full black bodysuit like that. And she has this cool like Venus flytrap gauntlet thing, which is translucent green. So that's probably one of the cooler Poison Ivy figures. And then you have the one to the right of them, which is the movie accurate Batman and Robin from the end of the film with this kind of chrome plating for their Arctic gear. And then we'll talk about them in a minute. I have some other pictures of them, but this is something I told Ben about early on, that there's this really weird Bane figure. So it was part of a 2-pack called Brains versus Brawn, and you have a fully chrome George Clooney Batman, but then you have a Bane that is like half Mr. Freeze and half Poison Ivy. So on one half, he's got like Mr. Freeze armor, translucent blue arms and legs. And on his other half, he's got like Poison Ivy translucent green vines and like stuff coming off of his like, fleshy arms. So he has that and mostly a green bodysuit, a blue bodysuit and a normal head. So this is just like the weirdest Bane figure I have ever seen, that it's like a combination of the motifs of the two major villains in the film. So I don't know. The illustration that Bob Larkin did of him is really interesting. It's like, if this had happened in the movie, I think it actually would have at least been cool to look at.
Yeah. This is weird, a weird concept, but it seems like they wanted to do as many different crazy things as possible with this one. It's just like, it fits with this universe, even if it's not really in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got these vehicles on there too. You also have some big like Batman and Robin statues. You've got the Ice Blade thing, the Batman drives, which I did have. I never had the Batman and Robin Batmobile. You've got Robin's Red Blade motorcycle, which actually looks more blue than black. You've got Batgirl's motorcycle. I mean, there's just a lot of shit for this movie.
I think this
ahead,
Ice
Andrew.
Glow Bathammer is my favorite vehicle in this whole line.
That's it,
my
the
favorite
Bat
thing.
Hammer. That's what I had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool
It's
looking,
crazy.
Yeah.
Other than Ben, I mean, I know you had the Batman and Robin Bane, but Andrew and Robert, did you have any of these figures growing up?
I don't think so, man.
I had that Ice Terror Mr. Freeze, but I don't think I had him with the car. So maybe I got him at like a thrift store or something.
Yeah, I think I had that one with the car.
But yeah, I mean, I remember at the time I really wanted a version of Poison Ivy that looked more like she looked in the movie. And when I saw the ones in the store, I didn't get them because I was like, this, like, it didn't look anything like Uma Thurman or like the character at all. It was kind of disappointing. I also...
Go ahead.
Like, I remember, I guess because I was like kind of into... Oh, I was pretty into comic books at this point. I was very irritated by the choice in this movie to make the Robin costume, the emblem on it red instead of blue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't get many of these figures.
Yeah, like most of you, if you're Batman fans, you're aware that Robin's costume is basically Nightwing's costume from the comics in this film, but it has a cape and the emblem is red. And at the time, it was blue on black. So you figure blue would actually fit better with, the look for this movie. But I think they were just so dead set on him having that fucking Redbird motorcycle and the logo being red and black that they were like, it's got to be red. It's got to be red for Robin. So, of course, like his helmet in the first movie, or that he's in Batman Forever, Robin did not look like a Robin bird. It was like a red bird. So
yeah,
they just really are going with this red theme. But yeah, as Robert was saying, Poison Ivy's likeness leaves something to be desired. It really does not look like Uma Thurman at all. I'm not sure what happened there, because I know from it was a magazine article about Batman and Robin. There was a segment in it. It was like a specific magazine just for Batman and Robin. So one of those ones they put out. But there was part of it at the end just talking about the action figures. And they showed some of the sculpts. And it even talked about in that interview that the actors had to approve their likenesses on the figures. So I guess Uma Thurman was just like, whatever, good enough. Like,
give me the royalties.
I guess he was okay with it.
Yeah.
As long as kids buy it.
The royalties must have been great. So this is 97, right?
That's correct.
So I'm slightly older than you guys. So I was in 7th grade, I think, at this time, 12 or 13, and the movie wasn't that good. And I mean, I don't know. The reception wasn't that good at the time, and I don't think I had any of these. This Bat Hammer does look really familiar, but I feel like I might be mixing that up with another memory.
Maybe.
I was probably just playing a lot of PlayStation 1 at this time.
I can't imagine you being like into buying these figures. I mean, I would buy action figures. I mean, I still buy them now, but I don't know. I just feel like this was marketed for a very specific age range. and it just kind of clicked with kids that saw the movie at the same time.
Yeah. Looks like a Coke can at the bottom of that campground playset or whatever.
That's the part that popped off, and then you could fill it with water and stuff. It was supposed to be like a little vat.
You can freeze your characters in it?
Probably. That's correct.
That would be sweet.
So I got a little close-up picture here of the Guardians of Gotham City. I had to squint to read that. So that's the one that looks like Batman and Robin from the end of the movie, where they have the black bodysuits and the silver detailing. So that's kind of cool. At least that it's movie accurate. And this Robin is fairly close to being movie accurate. I just wish that it was black instead of this kind of navy blue, where he has like the red symbol on him. But I guess it's pretty close. I will say, I guess like those in the movie, it is pretty much blue black. I think it's just a little bit darker than this. Yeah, and there's that close up of that weird Bane that has like half Mr. Freeze costume, half Poison Ivy vine detailing. I mean, it's really cool. He's got some cool green translucent parts and blue translucent parts, and Batman's pretty cool. He's like all chrome, and he's got a black cape. So I will say it's cool looking. It's just it's bizarre. In no other world, for no other reason, would you see this kind of a Bane figure. So again, I think it's kind of this cool like weird time capsule thing. Like what where did this come from? So
you don't need
just
to.
Interesting.
What if Bane was the main villain of this movie? That's what it feels like.
Right.
This figure's about.
He does. Look
like what
cool
if he rose up? Yeah, what if he rose up and had like more power and used both Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze for
his own thing
to make this? Yeah, so
you don't.
In
need,
a way, he's pretty cool.
You don't need stealth whenever you blind everybody that sees you as well. So this Batman's good.
Yeah. Batman, if he was walking out during the daytime or threw down like a flash bomb, that's it. Everybody's done. They're blind.
Bane's like, try your freeze powers and Poison Ivy powers on this way.
That's right.
I just have to walk. That's it.
So the nightmare has ended. We are done talking about Batman and Robin. So now, if I had ordered this correctly, we would be talking about Legends of the Dark Knight. But pretend that we talked about that. We did last episode. We're skipping that. We're jumping into 1998 with what I think might be one of Andrew's favorite toy lines. This is Batman Night Force Ninjas.
Okay, so this is really cool. I like this, but again, this is what, 98 now?
We are in 98, yes.
I think I was just so into PlayStation, dude. I think I skipped this entirely, but this is super cool.
Imagine if it came out
Azrael Batman.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Imagine, Andrew, if this came out a few years earlier when you were still interested in toys. I feel like the ninja thing would have been up your alley. So
yeah, it still is. So this is cool.
In 1998, Kenner produced a new line of Batman figures called Batman Night Force Ninjas. This line, like Legends of Batman and Legends of the Dark Knight, featured all new sculpts of Batman in an Elseworlds theme. Notable figures were the first ever Azrael figure and a new Killer Croc figure. This collection was aimed at showcasing the Dark Knight heroes' considerable cape Batman that were tipped. Excuse me, I messed that all the way up. The collection was aimed at showcasing the Dark Knight heroes' considerable martial arts prowess, particularly through Thunder Kick Batman and Arsenal Cape Batman that were tipped as fan favorites in this collection. And as we can see right here, that is the first ever Azrael figure for this toy line. And I'm trying to read, there is Power Cape Batman, which has that big old red boot on that he's going to kick some ass with. And you've
just
got
a one red boot?
That's the one that's going up. That's going up Killer Croc's ass right now. He's ready to kick him.
Use any other shoe, just this boot.
We will kick you with a normal size boot.
This Robin was one of my favorites as a kid. He actually has, I think this one in Power Kick Batman has some damage to their costumes, so there's like rips in them. But I love playing with this Robin figure because they are pretty articulate and they have little action movements. I think if you squeeze Robin's legs together, he twists around. Or I know like the figures, they all have little action movements. I had him in Killer Croc, and I think I had one of the Batmen.
What do you think set the precedent for this coming out? This is 98. They probably thought of it in 97 or so. Was it?
I don't know. When did
Power Rangers are already kind of over at this point, I think.
When did that Chris Farley movie come out with the ninjas?
Beverly Hills Ninja?
That's what did it right there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's just like, I mean, I guess it's just like, kids like ninjas, whatever the fuck, let's do it, you know?
I mean,
that's probably it, Andrew. You have cracked the code. Yeah. That's exactly what they sat around the boardroom and they're like, fucking kids, they like ninjas, right?
It's probably all it is.
That is it. I like this neon colored Batman with like an insane amount of shit sticking out of his back.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know what's going
Fist
on.
Fury Batman, by the way. I know it's
he's
small
got
on your
fists.
on your side.
Yeah, he's got some fists, but he's got this like red apparatus coming out of his back. It's like Dr. Octopus meets Batman, and I'm not sure what's going on with him.
What
I never
is
saw
that?
him
I
as a
have no
kid.
idea what that's supposed to be.
Deep dive Batman too. He's in an all yellow
If that's
suit.
the one that I'm.
It's
That's
like
true.
neon yellow.
If
Yeah,
that's the one I'm thinking of. That yellow part on the top and with all the red crap coming out of it is like a shell, and it comes off. And underneath, he is just nips out, just completely no shirt or anything. He kind of.
I love it. It's like
Yeah, he looks kind of like when he God, what is the Batman story with
fights Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, it looks like that.
Oh yeah.
The Neil Adams
one,
first story, that cover. Mm-hmm. Yes, I actually remember that, Robert. I do kind of remember him being shirtless.
It's just
the cowl
That's
stays
interesting.
It's a bold look.
Yes, the cowl stays on.
Of
He
course,
doesn't give a
yes,
shit.
of
He's
course.
got to show off those pecs. Yeah. They also had these kind of Rock'em Sock'em robot Batman and Joker figures, which they actually. So I say that they actually did have some Rock'em Sock'em robot type figures for the animated series. I forgot to put a picture up for them that were like just punching. These figures actually are kicking the shit out of each other, swinging around. Like their torsos are spinning. I remember the commercials for it as a kid. Like they are spinning all over the place. So they do knock each other off if you hit one hard enough. So that was kind of cool. But
did you ever have the ones
these
for the
are
animated series? Because
no, I think it was Batman and Penguin.
Yes, Batman and Penguin. It's such a strange pairing. Like, yes, that's an even.
That's not
fight.
a fair fight.
Yeah.
That seems like really mean of Batman. Like that is not a fair fight at all. An unarmed penguin.
Kick your ass, Batman. And Batman's like, you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
What is this,
This is the
accessory
hill you want to die
with?
on.
Look at Tail Whip Killer Croc right here. He's being bitten by a alligator skull or crocodile skull or something.
He's got a prehistoric dinosaur skull that he has with him,
Biting his
and he
hand.
also has like a claw extension thing on his arm. So I don't remember having either of those accessories. I just remember having like the plain kind of neon fluorescent green Killer Croc figure.
I
loved him as a
like
kid.
the
I thought he was
skull
cool.
though. The skull is kind of cool.
He's just gonna
It's cool. I
beat
just don't
them
know
over
what
the head with it.
is.
It's just extra bullshit. Like they always put in these things.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like a tactical advantage. It looks like a disadvantage because it looks like it's biting his hand and he's screaming in pain from that, not
I
because
think-
he's trying to intimidate anybody.
I think it might be biting his tail because he had a tail. We'll have to look at him. Maybe I have a closer picture, but I did want to say that the other interesting figures included in the first series in 1998 were Karate Chop Batman, Side Strike Robin, Power Kick Batman, and Killer Croc. Fist Fury Batman, Azrael, Thunder Kick Batman, Tornado Blade Riddler all came out in a Series 2 line, while the other two hot figures of Batman were featured in Series 3 along with Hyper Crush Robin. So take a look.
Crush.
This is the one of the Batman figures. There's no name now, so I don't know what the fuck his name is. But you've got Killer Croc, and that's that claw extension. It actually looks like a green alligator claw, so it's like another thing, like a gauntlet that he wears. And then you have this prehistoric, blood-stained dinosaur skull. I think you actually could pinch it on the back and open it up. So maybe he's using it to bite down on the other figures, which that's kind of cool to me.
That would make more sense than it biting him.
Yeah.
You know,
I think he was
it as a weapon.
Maybe he's just holding it in the other picture, like in his other hand.
Yeah.
So
plus he's a
pretty
crocodile,
cool.
so this is like his relative's skull or something. And this shows how fucked up he is.
Probably.
He's carrying around his relative's skull all the fucking time.
I don't think they thought through that part. They just thought, this is some other cool accessory from
So it's like
holding around.
It's like the precursor for Cubone, I guess, from Pokemon. He just carries around the skull as a weapon instead.
What's this?
Remember my ancestors.
What's this Leprandi on the right upper side here?
It's actually it might be from another YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
So props to Leprandi. I'm gonna have to look it up later, but some of these images I got were basically from like reviews about specific figures. But I thought this is some very beautiful photography. I liked that it kind of just showed some good imagery of those figures. This is that Azrael figure that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Looks pretty accurate.
He has a flaming sword accessory and this little like thing that sits on a table. That's I guess part of his programming. Maybe he. I think in the comics, doesn't he have something like that with the Order of Saint Dumas? The system, yeah. Was there like a machine?
Yeah.
They just figured it's a figure.
Get an Azrael figure. He's an ally to Batman. What does he do? Well, there was a cult part of the Catholic Church that brainwashed him to be an assassin, to kill people. So he's really 17 years old, and he kills people with a flaming sword in the name of God.
I like his cape.
Yeah,
but he's a ninja. Don't even worry about it.
He does have a removable cape and hood, so it's like this kind of black cowl underneath with that little red design on the face. But it's kind of cool to me that this is the first ever Azrael figure. So not Azbat specifically, but an Azrael figure. And I like the gold detailing on him. It's like a metallic gold color. So
does
pretty
he have
awesome.
the spiky shoulders in the comics? I forget.
I'm sure.
I think so, yeah.
This is pretty cool. This is one of my favorites from this line, I think. And also, I noticed that the box makes sure to tell you it's Batman ally Azrael. This is not a bad guy. He might look like it. This is an ally. Read the box, kids.
He still kills people, but
yeah, he still
kills bad people.
That's if you read the
comics.
That is
kind of funny that they did that.
Yeah.
I don't think they assumed the kids were reading up about this assassin for the Catholic Church in the comics. They're just like, just say that he's one of Batman. He's on Batman's side.
Here's a new superhero. Here's a close-up of that, like, karate kicking Joker.
This does not look like a Bob Larkin, by the way, bro. This looks like a different artist.
No, it does not. I think I said that he did all the movie line artwork.
Right.
This definitely doesn't look like him, but I like that he has, on one hand, a punching glove, or like a boxing glove extension, and the other one has these kind of spiked brass knuckles that are green. He also has some spiked silver shoulder pads. I mean, this Joker looks pretty cool. I like that he is kind of decked out. He's ready to duke it out with Batman, and Batman's got these neon green accessories.
Basically preparing for Batman to not. I mean, he's just like, you can't punch me in the shoulder anymore. I'm like, well, I can still punch you in the face and the torso. And
That's
stuff.
Right.
It's not the best protection.
By the way, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this lately, actually. When Batman fights Joker in the comics, and when he does go fist to fist with him, do they explain that Joker has had some training or something generally?
Well,
how the fuck can they go around?
I mean, they don't really. Usually Batman beats the shit out of them.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah.
I think that, Ben, at one point, you said something about the fact that, or maybe I was talking to Robert, that the Joker is insane, so he's got some kind of lunatic strength, and he also has no regard for his own well-being.
Super high pain tolerance and stuff, because there's so many
that's accurate too. Yeah.
He's punched the crap out of him, and he's just still, cackling with a bleeding nose and everything.
Yeah.
What would usually take down a regular thug will just make Joker laugh and continue throwing another gadget at him. So that's probably what makes it more interesting than just another fist fight.
And he gets under Batman's skin, so he kind of fucks with his mind in that way in a fight.
He's got a psychological edge. Yeah. I honestly think it depends on who's writing him, because if you look back at like Joker's first appearance, he does seem to hold his own when hand fighting with Batman. I mean, like back in like 1940. So I think it just depends on the
kind of fighting, bro.
Yeah, I think it just depends on it depends on the writer and the artist. But I always imagine Joker as being especially like weaselly and sneaky and like fighting dirty. and just being like
Right.
able to, you know, like you said, to get under Batman's skin, but also kind of trick him. So yeah, he's really just like a dirty fighter. So
Well,
he might
look
not
at the-
have.
If you look at the Dark Knight, Ledger pretty much kicks his ass. He throws he sends the dogs after him.
With the accompaniment of like 3 rabid dogs and a
3 rabid
crowbar.
dogs.
Yeah.
Crowbar, I think there's a net too, from what I remember, and then he tricks the night vision and stuff. So pretty much Batman only wins that because he relies on the people not blowing each other up on the ferries.
Yeah, and his little.
But he technically doesn't really win the fight.
His sneaky gauntlets too, so Batman does use like a trick against him. Yeah,
Right.
There's some comics I've seen where they do fight. I mean, they're going at it for a long time. If you even think about like the Killing Joke, I mean, their fight lasts a while, and there's lots of things the Joker does. But yeah, sometimes he just seems like completely useless. Like I think there's an early Neil Adams story. Like what am I thinking of? The Joker's 5-Way Revenge, where like
Probably
he slips out in the fucking mud at the end, and Batman just catches him that way. Like, yeah, he's not very. You know, it depends on the writer and the artist, I'll say. But this Joker looks like he's ready to trade blows with Batman, which I like.
Duking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duking it out. All right, so we are moving on to Hasbro. So let's come on over here. In 1998 to 1999, as Hasbro bought out Kenner, a new line of action figures were produced by Hasbro based on the new animated series, the new Batman Adventures. So this line featured new sculpts based on the updated animated series from the WB network. The first Creeper and Mad Hatter figures were included in this line. And as we can see here, we have brand new sculpts for Batman, the Tim Drake Robin, and of course, the awesome mulleted Nightwing that came from that animated series.
Dude, mullets are back, man. You see that shit?
I have students with them, so yes, I see it every day.
Yeah. The late 80s, early 90s are currently very much in fashion as of this recording.
Coming back.
Yeah.
I will say that although I do like the original animated series better, I did have quite a fondness for these figures. They seem very streamlined, and I did collect a lot of these as well. Even though the Joker is not my favorite design because of the black eyes, I have a lot of him. I just really liked how clean these figures looked for
Well,
their
this
design.
is so close to the cartoon, right?
Yeah.
This is like they didn't fuck around with being true to the actual fucking show, like unlike some of the other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, and they all had hard plastic capes this time, so they've lost the fabric capes for now. I will say when we get to him that the Mad Hatter from this series is the animated series, the original Mad Hatter. It's kind of weird that his sculpt is based on the first animated series. It's like the blue. He's tall for one. The blue kind of like long overcoat and the blonde hair, like he is specifically from that toy line. I don't know why they didn't sculpt him based on the newer design, but whatever. They did. I mean, he looks cool, but it is definitely not from this cartoon series.
They're like, he's like the 10th most important Batman villain, so
The only
let's just not give him much.
Only thing, very small thing that kind of like I don't like about these 3 characters is Nightwing's domino mask is just a little too thin, I think. It's a little bit too pointed or something, but other than that one thing, at least for me, there's like nothing wrong with these figures at all. It's like exactly what you'd want out of this thing, out of this line.
Everyone's a critic.
Yeah. The mullet brings it back around though to perfection.
I never had this Nightwing figure. I actually had one that had like a gold bodysuit and black arms and a black bird on his chest. I mean, I thought he looked really cool, but I don't ever remember having a cartoon accurate Nightwing figure until later. This is a little advertisement for the new adventures where I'll have a closer picture, but you can see the Mad Hatter from the series. He has a cool like robot bunny that comes with him, so I think that's pretty awesome. They did reuse some sculpts from the original animated series. You can even see here that Robin figure in the center. I think it might be from like a later Mission Masters line. but that's definitely like a Dick Grayson one from the first series, as well as that whatever that Batman is with that weird fucking backpack and like silver suit. But the other stuff is really cool. You have a new Batmobile that's based on the new animated series. I did have this one. I thought it's pretty cool. It has like a kind of a 2-seater in the front, and I think there's like a little hatch in the back that'll open up that you can put stuff in as well. I think it actually has a seat, maybe for Nightwing. But I like this Arkham Asylum set, which is really just the gates of Arkham Asylum, but it comes with that new Two-Face sculpt and a more dynamic Batman pose and like a cape that kind of swoops behind them. I remember they did a lot of repaints of that figure as well. But that's kind of cool that you have like that Arkham set. I think they actually had a bank set as well, which had kind of like a little sign. So it was kind of cool. It wasn't like a really big play set. It was really just kind of some signage. But it was, it was cool that they had something a little bit extra.
No Gray Ghost?
No Gray Ghost. That didn't come out until the newer figures that are more expensive.
Okay.
Unfortunately. And I do remember, if you see these Batman and Nightwing figures to the bottom right, they have these little magnifying glasses that are translucent red. That was part of a specific like gimmick with the box art that had like a decoder thing. One of the Batman figures I had, you could cut out this circle on the back of the box, and you clipped it into his like gauntlet that had it was like a yellow circle, and it looked like a rotary phone on top that had only 2 circles open. And on one side it had the character's alter ego, and on the other side it had their costumed identity. And the I think the costumed identity one had like this red particle kind of print on it, and you could only see it if you put that magnifying glass over it. So it was like, here's the Riddler, his alter ego is Edward Nygma. So it was like kind of a mystery thing. And I think some of the artwork on the back of the box included the same thing. It was like, hey, yeah, you couldn't see what you were looking at unless you put that little magnifying glass over it. So it's kind of interesting that they were trying to use a gimmick for the box art as well.
Yeah, because I could never track down that Batman, but what I would do was I would take a pair of 3D glasses and use the red lens, and it would work on it.
Yeah, any kind of red gel you could use over top of it. So that was kind of cool that it was like the... if you look at the artwork, it's hard for me to read, but it does say Crime Solver in the middle, so that's what it was part of. It was like this extra gimmick to go along with the figure. So,
look cool.
Kenner and Hasbro released the 3rd and 4th Mission Masters line under the basic Batman title. Included were figures from Batman the Animated Series. That's what I was talking about. They still were releasing figures from the first line of the cartoon, even though this new one was coming out. They released some from the original Batman the Animated Series, the New Adventures Batman, Kenner's Superman Adventures line, and some Batman Beyond figures. So also included was a new comic-style Bruce Wayne Batman figure, Rumble Ready Riddler, and an animated-style insect body Mr. Freeze. We'll take a look at him. He was one of my absolute favorite figures from this line because it's such a morbid idea, in that New Adventures, that Mr. Freeze is just a head with, like, insect leg body.
Yeah.
And I love that the figure included that. I remember the time that I got it, I was staying over at a friend's house, and I was, like, scaring him with it. He said it was creepy. So, that just made me want to do it more. Here are the Mad Hatter and Creeper figures up close. So, as I said, this is the first Mad Hatter figure, I think, ever. And this is definitely the first Creeper figure ever. And the Creeper is definitely based on his appearance in the New Adventures. And Robert, I think you said this was one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, his expression and everything. The sculpt on it is so good. That expression is just so wild. And it was a character that I wasn't super used to. I don't know. It's like I didn't have much experience with Creeper at all, but like when I saw this in the store, I just like automatically got it. Just he looks very, very cool.
If you notice, he and Mad Hatter, I think, have the same fucking microphone accessory. If not, they're very
close.
Similar.
Yeah. Not exactly.
Okay.
I think
it looks close to me.
Yeah.
I don't
as a
crucify
kid-
me, but I don't think I've ever
Go ahead.
seen the episode with Creeper. This is totally totally new for me.
It's really funny. It's like one of
Yeah.
the last episodes of that series.
Oh shit! Okay, this
You got
I
HBO
love
Max,
this. I
watch
love
it.
this figure. Yeah, I should. This figure looks awesome. I love the expression as well, Robert.
Yeah.
I do say that he's a little top heavy.
Yes.
His boa is really a solid piece of plastic, and it's hard for him to balance. Like he often falls backwards because I have him with the boa on. I remember
Should've
as
done
a
more squats. He skipped
I-
leg day.
All the WB
I rem-
characters are like real top heavy.
They are. This Bruce Timm design, they all have tiny little bird legs. So I will say that I saw him as a kid. I didn't know who the fuck he was. I never saw this episode as a kid. I thought he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like
He's
insane.
not?
I thought
He's
like,
kind of in between.
This guy's a
Kind of in
good guy.
between.
Okay.
yeah, he's.
You haven't heard of
he's
the
a good
Creeper?
guy.
I don't fucking look. Don't crucify me, but I don't
He's
know
a
this
Steve,
guy at all.
Steve Ditko character, right, Ben?
Okay.
Or
I
Jack
don't know about
Kirby?
Steve Ditko. Jack Ryder is there's always some Easter egg of like reporter Jack Ryder is here, and that's
Yeah.
always like foreshadowing of like, oh, he's gonna be the Creeper in the future.
Yeah.
And stuff. I was introduced to him in one of the Brave and the Bold comics that was in like a team up collection that I had called The Greatest Team Up Stories Ever Told that introduced me to Creeper. So I had the opposite where like the episode came out and I was like, oh, they're bringing the Creeper into the animated series. This is interesting. And then their version of the origin was Joker basically
Yeah.
trying to turn him into another Joker and
Which
put him
makes
into these
sense.
chemicals. Yeah. So
As
I
a
was like,
simplified
oh,
one.
that's kind of a cool way to bring him in, and that's also how they sort of confirmed that like this version of Joker fell into the chemicals and stuff. So
Oh yeah.
it's I haven't seen the episode in such a long time, but this is kind of the gateway for Jeff Bennett, the voice actor, to end up voicing Joker in the in Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
In a way, since it's a similar character, similar voice.
I remember being introduced to the Creeper in the Greatest Joker Stories Ever Told collection. There is like
yeah.
a story of him fighting Joker, and it's
Probably from that Joker comic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It is from like one of the issues of just the Joker, and
Yeah.
I swear he's like it's either I think it's Steve Ditko. He is like a Steve Ditko creation.
He
We had a device where we could look this
he
up.
looks like
I'm
is,
hosting. You guys got thumbs over there. You can use.
he looks like he's a Freakazoid character as well.
He does. Well, I mean,
actually-
this is like Bruce Timm's design.
I was telling Zach this earlier, but when back in the day, I was still customizing, and I remember a lot of times people would buy this figure and turn him into Freakazoid.
Fucking right. Yeah, it's that fucking
It's that
face.
yeah.
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 All right, Zach,
can
you're
see
right.
that.
Showcase number 73 in 1968, created by Steve Ditko and Don Segal. So
I knew something.
that is. Yeah.
Mark it down, Andrew. Put it in the
Okay.
book.
Yes.
I'll put it in that book.
Keeping score.
Yes.
Yeah. So it says Creeper shows up in New Adventures of Batman, as well as the Batman the Brave and the Bold, and also cameos in the Arkham games as Jack Ryder, not as the Creeper, but as Jack Ryder. Yeah.
I creep
does make a
upon
cameo in
evil. I'm a good guy.
He does make a cameo in Kingdom Come, I remember, as a very old creeper.
What? God, I need to
yeah.
go back and read that shit.
I don't think
yeah.
he speaks at all, but he's definitely in the background of a couple panels.
Yeah, he's
like
just in the
hair's.
background.
Yeah, his
There's an
hair's
Alex
thinning,
Ross
but he's
creeper
like
out there?
wrinkly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Just a wrinkler one. Yeah.
Okay.
This is one of my favorites. This set was reused a couple times. Robert actually has one that I gave him of. It was used in Batman and Robin. It was like a free Mr. Freeze's lab, and I had this one for the Joker as a kid, and I loved it because it's like you could pretend it was chemicals. So in my head, okay, look at this picture. In my head, this is Joker's laboratory. Batman and Nightwing are busting Joker's ass. And instead of taking him to jail, they're like, you know what? We're going to fucking murder him. We're going to drop him into his own chemicals, his own chemical coffin. So fuck you, Joker. This is it. It's got a little claw that drops him in. And also, it's kind of cool that they put Pogo Stick Joker in here from like the older line of toys with the New Adventures figures. By the way, I didn't talk about it last episode, but I love this Pogo Stick Joker. I just love that he's got a blue suit on. I had dogs as a kid.
Interesting.
I had dogs as a kid, and one of them chewed his fucking head up, and I was so mad. I was just waiting until I got older, and I found another one and finally replaced him. But he was one of my favorites as a kid. I was like, oh, Joker's got a blue suit. That's cool. So I love this set. It's like you just put some bubble bath in there, and I would rather it be like Joker dropping Batman in and Nightwing coming to save him. But this just looks like it looks like Batman and Nightwing are gonna make a decision that they might regret overall in this picture here.
Enough of this. We'll save more lives this way.
Let's see what happens when we
lab.
dunk them in chemicals again.
Yeah.
It worked well the first time.
It makes it seem like Joker is trying to research the chemicals himself in his own lab.
That's right.
By the wording,
or that's
at
just
least.
That's just how he's going to kill some people. He's just going to like put them in his coffin and close the lid of chemicals. So it's pretty cool to me, though. I like it overall.
It's just his way of taking a bath.
Yes. That's why, hey, you know what, Ben? That's what they're doing. They said, Joker, you fucking stink. It's time to take a bath. I'm going to use this claw to force you into this bathtub. And Joker's just fighting them every step of the way. So
I can't subject the Arkham staff to your smell, Joker.
I'm going to stick with that more than the other idea. All right, so we've gotten to take a look at the insect body Mr. Freeze, one of my favorite figures from this line, and the emaciated Riddler, who only shows up in, I think, maybe 2 episodes of the New Adventures, and they are not Riddler-centric episodes. So even though he got a cool redesign, he has no episodes for himself, and I believe he shows up in one Superman, the animated series episode called Nighttime, where he and Mad Hatter and Bane have teamed up. So otherwise, he's a really cool design. He is one of the figures that has the hardest time standing up in my glass case. He's just his really tiny legs, but otherwise he's pretty cool. So later, Hasbro released several Batman the Animated Series figures, as well as the Adventures of Batman and Robin, the new Batman Adventures repaints in what was called the Spectrum of the Bat action figure line. I did not include any pictures of them. I remember those being some of the last figures that I saw in, what was it, KB Toys, and they were like in a bin, and they were these very small boxes. It was just a single figure, and they were just repaints. I remember there was like Batgirl, Batman, there was a Joker, and they also included the Mad Hatter for the second time, but he had a pink jacket on. So yeah, it was just this kind of like weird last line of figures that they did.
Weird.
That was kind of like New Adventures in animated style. So let's talk about one of the last line of figures up here, which is, of course, Batman Beyond. Hasbro released a new line of figures based on the new WB cartoon, Batman Beyond. This line, like all Batman lines in the past, featured many versions of Batman, but only a few versions of the cartoon's villains and no supporting characters. So as we can see here, they did have a Blight action figure, which doesn't really look that much like he did in the show.
Terrible. It's terrible. I'm sorry, but
a lot of these, I think a lot of these Robert would like simply because of the translucent colors.
Yep.
But yeah, this Blight is just kind of like a translucent green, and there's like a skeleton inside of him. So
maybe if it's glow in the dark and he looks closer to it when the lights turn off, then that would be cool. But from what it looks like, so for those who aren't looking at the video, it's basically it's a gold. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a naked dude who's bald, who's like gold-ish, except his stomach is translucent and see-through.
He's kind of a pond scum green.
Yeah.
And the Batman that's next to him was one of the few figures that was almost correct to how he appeared on the cartoon in the first line of figures, and he is a translucent blue. He has a translucent blue body with a red bat on his chest and red bat wings like his gliders. So he's almost the same. But yeah, these figures, they're not my favorite. They just had a lot of variants of Batman, and a lot of them are just kind of random translucent color schemes. So, it was the last line of figures, and they're based on that last, I would say Timverse cartoon of the time. I think that Hasbro had the rights to, but it's not my favorite. I did include this because they did include the leader of the Jokers as his own figure, which was just called Jay. I think at the time he was the closest to the actual Joker appearance, but in the action figure they gave him a magenta suit instead of like the one in the cartoon looks really similar to the actual Joker as far as the color scheme for his costume. And this one had red lips instead of like the ivory, like tooth colored one in the cartoon that had like a toothy mouth painted on his regular mouth. He was kind of a weird design, but they had this guy and they had like a couple other Joker's gang figures. I remember there was a large
leader,
yeah.
He looks like he's letting out a long fart.
Well,
he's bending down and his tails are up because clearly some wind's coming out.
Yeah.
the reason for that is he actually was riding like a hover motorbike thing.
This is just he doesn't have it. He just looks like, all right, time to relieve myself.
Without that,
hiding the
it does look
fart
suspect.
with the hoverboard.
He's got those coattails flying behind him.
It feels like this could have been a David Bowie Joker, by the way.
He definitely
Kinda.
looks like David Bowie, yeah. Like I said, I don't have a picture of that one, but I remember these being at Walgreens a lot. And there was a one Joker goon that was a really big guy, and he came with a smaller Joker goon that he would throw in his hand, so he could throw it at Batman, I guess. He would throw the little person at Batman, so it was weird. But like I said, I didn't have that many of these. I thought they were kind of okay, but not my favorite. Whoever, Hasbro released the Batman Beyond movie tie-in, so Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. These were produced, and they included several new Batman Adventures figures, as well as Batman Beyond figures. So the one in the background, to the back right, is, I'd say, like the closest one to the actual TV show Batman Beyond. Mm-hmm. It's a translucent black, but it's very dark. He's got the red bat symbol. He's got the red glider. He's a pretty cool Batman Beyond figure. They also re-released the Joker from the New Adventures, the Quick Change Bruce Wayne from the New Adventures, another Batman from the New Adventures, and this other kind of weird gold-chested Batman. But I remember liking this Joker, except for the fact that he had a weird swoosh of peach in his hair.
Whoa, weird.
I don't know why they did that. Instead of doing a green, it was like a peach color, but I like his metallic dark green suit. I think they tried to just get by with this by saying it was Arkham Escape Joker and it could be from the flashback rather than the actual Joker from the future. But I thought that was kind of a cop-out. I wish they had had one that was like a slightly new sculpt to go along with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
so these are just some repaints. I think they're, they're pretty cool, but again, this is kind of getting to the end of the road as far as our Hasbro Batman figures.
Nothing screams high fashion Bruce Wayne than a long orange bright trench coat.
That's right. Fluorescent orange. He stands out in the crowd.
It's supposed to be maybe that kind of tan, beigey, regular trench coat color. And this is the closest
that's
cartoon.
Reaching pretty far, Andrew.
Surely they don't want it. It's not supposed to be this orange. Yeah, it's just weird.
Well, the original one was the same red as like Batman Beyond's wings back there. Like it was garish.
I think it just fit. It fit a little better. This is like neon orange, and I think it's just like, well, kids like bright colors, and they just put that up there. So
this is the style now.
It's weird.
Alfred. Get me an orange coat.
So later, Hasbro released a new line of figures based on the Batman Forever toy line. This one was called Batman Beyond Bat Links. Unlike Hasbro's earlier Batman Beyond toy line, this line was not based on the popular cartoon series, but it had an Elseworlds computer theme. The only thing I think is worthwhile that came out of this was this crazy virtual Joker. He looks like a giant robotic Joker head with a machine gun on the forehead. He is translucent neon green with a airbrushed white face, big old clacking jaws that would open and close, and weird translucent magenta legs that look like little rocket feet and wings on the side, like gliders. So it's really fucking weird looking, but I like him.
This one is kind of cool. This one is just so out there. But also, again, what's the time period? 99? 2000?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So this translucent color, I think it was supposed to be real and a futuristic look, at this time. Mm-hmm. So that with Batman Beyond, I think that's why the choice for this toy line, it's so prevalent. Also, this is a time period in which you would get the translucent Game Boys, N64s, the early IMAX.
Yeah.
Very, very in vogue at this time. So, I think there's a lot of reasons why they chose this.
Zach, I'm guessing this is before Return of the Joker?
No. Well,
or is this after?
I had them. Maybe I put the pictures in reverse. It might have been after. This was one that I really remember seeing at like Walgreens and Food Line even. It was like these weird spots to have these toys. And I have this Joker. I just remember thinking, okay, he's kind of interesting, but it's just super weird. I like it because it is weird. It kind of reminds me of that like 90s comic they did that was like a virtual Batman.
Yeah,
do you
the
remember
virtual
that?
thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one thing I can kind of draw from that. But he's really weird looking.
It's just that the logo says Batman Beyond as opposed to Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. So I'm just like, well, it doesn't seem like it ties into the movie. So is this
But
their
I can't
way of
remember if
being
this
like...
came. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, it wasn't even based on the show either. It was just kind of maybe it was just extra thing that they added on there. I'd have to do a little more research as possible. I can't remember exactly when I got this figure, but I remember seeing the Batman Beyond Return of the Joker figures in a Walmart. Where this figure I never saw in a Walmart. It was like just in random places.
I mean, if this was before, then thank God we got what we got in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, because I don't know if I would have wanted to see this as like, this is where how we're bringing back Joker in this continuity.
As a big old robot.
It's
so
fine
this
as
was
a
never
toy.
in the show? This was never in Batman Beyond?
Nope. No, it
Oh,
was
wow.
not.
It looks like a mech also with the guns and the walking, leg deal going on.
He's got a rocket coming out of his headbutt, whatever you want to call that. He's got some rockets coming out there. He's going to fly around. I just can imagine this thing moving. It's just weird.
This is one of those that's so wild / bad it's good. You know?
Yeah,
I agree.
It really goes
this
back
thing
around.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I like it. It is really cool and weird. It's just like this is you can tell it's kind of the end of the era for them. It's just like really bizarre. Which
We have a shitload of plastic left and not many ideas left. So
everything translucent.
Yeah,
All right,
those N64s are flying off the goddamn shelves. So
So, like I said, that's kind of the ending of an era. Kenner was obtained by Hasbro and eventually lost their license to DC Properties. In 2003, Mattel was given the rights to produce a handful of characters, mostly related to the Batman and Superman universes. And in 2008, Mattel acquired the rights to more of the DC Universe's eclectic characters base and began producing expansive product lines, many of which feature Batman prominently. But this is the end of the Kenner Batman toy lines. So sad to see it end on such a weird-ass note as the kind of computer virus Joker. But I did want to end with us talking about Robert and mine, our top picks for Kenner Batman.
Nice.
We talked about this a lot, and I let Robert add this on to our slides as well. But these are our top 5 picks for all the Batman Kenner toy lines. So we tried to be pretty eclectic as far as not picking more than one character from the same toy line. So I will start first. This is my personal collection of my favorite figures throughout the years of Kenner's toy line. So, of course, we have this kind of like Twister Strike Scarecrow that was from the Batman Legends of the Dark Knight toy line. We have Arctic Batman from the Batman Returns line. Hydro Claw Robin from the Batman Forever line. The Pirate Two-Face from Legends of the Batman, which I thought he was really cool as just an Elseworlds. And we didn't talk about this when we were going through it, but this is my favorite figure from the Batman the Animated Series toy line, which is this kind of parachute Batman. And he actually does have this like kind of silvery parachute that comes out of his backpack. But I just love the orange bodysuit with this kind of like black belt stuff sculpted on there. I don't know. I always thought he was a really cool figure as a kid. I actually have him... Let's see.
The face is really good too on the orange one.
Yeah. I've got him here with me right now.
Oh,
so he does have like a little plastic backpack. It's got the little silvery thing all tied up in here, his little parachute. And I do remember, this is not the one I played with as a kid. That's why it's so neatly packed up in here. But the one I had as a kid, you could actually like drop him off stuff with his parachute open, and he would, float down. So I always thought that was really cool that he was functional.
That's awesome.
So, Robert, I'm going to let you talk about your top picks right here.
Alrighty. Well, just starting off with that Superpowers Batman, I think it was probably, it was something I got at a garage sale. I mean, I wasn't old enough to be there for Superpowers originally, but just the blues and everything in it, it still is what I think of when I think of Batman, is that costume, and I think a lot of it has to do with playing with that figure as a kid. Tim Drake Robin, I mean, I talked about that. There's something about that figure that I love. And as I've gotten older, I've almost got more appreciation for it, about how it kind of has a little bit of that aesthetic of Batman Returns mixed into it a little bit with the darker colors and everything. I just think it was a really cool, almost accident or something, that it came out at that time period. Obviously the quick change Batman, like, I just love that figure so much. It's got so much, it's just everything you want a toy to be. It looks what it's supposed to look like. It's got a lot of playability. Just a great figure. I really love that creeper. Like I was talking about, the sculpt of it is super tight. You can't really see it in that picture, but he's even got like the little lines in his neck where he's just like smiling so hard, like he's straining.
No, really? That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And that Joker from the Dark
Legends of the Batman.
Legends of the Batman. I always get those two lines mixed up. That was a figure. I don't have it. I don't know where it is. It's packed up, but I have my original one in box from when I was a kid. There was something. I guess he was the closest kind of, comic accurate Joker that had been released for a while as a kid, and I just snatched him up. But the sculpt is so strange. Like, he almost looks more like, his face and features and everything almost look more like Mad Hatter than Joker.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's very interesting looking, and he's got, that big gun that's just like chattering teeth and stuff, and it's it's a very fun, weird figure that I've always had a real soft spot for.
Awesome. Yeah, these are, I just think these are great, and me and Robert did talk about our choices, so we didn't both choose the same ones. So that Robin is one of my favorites too, but I just thought it would be kind of neat to take a look at what our top picks were, since we were such fans of the toys. So
awesome.
I did want to ask, as we're closing out of everything, I do feel like Kenner's Batman toy lines are still some of the best toy lines, best kid action figures I've ever seen. I don't think the ones that they make now really stack up to that. Like, as much as me collecting old ones that were meant for children as an adult, now I feel like there's toys for kids and there's toys that are for like adult collectors. So I just think it's a huge piece of nostalgia for people that grew up in the 90s. So again, definitely. Kenner, my hat's off to you. So as far as you guys are concerned, what is the most interesting thing you have learned from parts 1 and 2 of the Kenner Deep Dive? Start with Ben. What do you think, Ben?
Most interesting things have probably been, I don't know, I'm always interested in the variants and how they come about, of how, we always yearn as kids to just have what we saw on screen. So the thinking that goes into, we're just going to give you a yellow Batman, a blue Batman, like all these different types. And the thinking behind that, and usually it's sort of a case of just like, well, we would just want to sell more toys to give you a whole bunch of variety of different things. So I think just even though we were interested as kids of having stuff that was more comic accurate or more screen accurate, it is interesting looking back to see like, okay, how do you explain this toy? the ones that we had the biggest reactions to were the ones where we're just like, okay, what the hell's going on with this Batman? Fist of Fury Batman or whatever, with like the red things coming out. I'm like, how is that supposed to work? And then like sort of imagining a story of how that would work, and sort of realizing that Kenner, probably unintentionally, because they're just basically doing it to get money, but they give you the ideas as a kid to make it work. Here's this version of Batman. He can do this. He's a deep dive Batman or whatever. How does he work? How does he work into the storyline? You figure that out as a kid, and it helps you with your imagination. I'm not really somebody who's just like, kids these days have no imagination because of smartphones and shit. Like, I'm not really one of those type of people, but there is something to be said about growing up with action figures and having that ability to tell those stories of stuff. Because let's face it, these days, it's in the world of fan fiction right now. Everybody who's doing Marvel stuff or DC stuff, most of them have grown up with this stuff, and most of them probably started out as kids with these action figures, maybe not these ones specifically, but just action figures in general, and their first stories came about by pitting one action figure against the other and coming up with something. So that's what I think the significance of it is. Yeah,
I like that they would inspire a child's imagination. Andrew, what about you? What do you think's the most interesting thing you've learned?
I don't know about. Let me think about learn, but one of the first comments I can think
Why
of
is Zach
is...
laughing? He hasn't started it.
I remember most of what you said.
That's why.
He thinks I forgot everything. He thinks I forgot everything. But the first comment that comes to my mind is just seeing the original Batman '89 toy line, because that's one that kind of like is deep in the recesses of my memory. This is one of the first toys I ever had, really, and I learned the word what share meant metaphorically from the Batplane toy. So there's that. Let's see. I think one thing that's interesting for me, compared to what you guys are saying, I don't know if I ever really cared too much if it was a little bit different from the movie, as long as just make it look cool, If I like the design of that figure, it didn't necessarily have to reflect the movie that much. Yes, I wanted to recreate the movie. I get it. But it could change a bit. Like Deep Dive Batman was so cool, I thought. And that wasn't in the fucking movie at all. So I would let it go if I liked it, if it was cool. But and then there's stuff in the movie, like the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin stuff, especially the Batmobile in those, is just like, I don't want this, this design is not for me. So there's that. I guess as far as learn, because I was kind of checked out of toys at that time, the Ninja, just learning about the Ninja line at all, and even that Legends of the Batman or whatever, the kind of darker run that we discussed in the last episode, I didn't even know about those at all. I was in PlayStation and Sega Saturn land at this time, I think, so I just was totally checked out of that. I was watching the cartoons and shit, but the toys, I think I was missing a lot of that. So, I guess that could be it. I was aware of the other ones, but the other ones, like the Night Force Ninja, is that the name?
Yeah, you're right.
Night Force Ninja. I wasn't even aware of that line at all.
Well, that's
and
cool.
The Creeper is awesome. I'm glad. That's my favorite thing from this episode, I think, is the fucking Creeper.
Now go to HBO Max and find the episode.
That design is cool. That would be on my top pick too, Robert, I think.
Yeah, he's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, you corrected me on a bunch of stuff, so I don't know if you learned anything new, but out of the part 1 and 2 episodes, what's been your favorite part?
Well, I did learn a little bit about some of the designs that I kind of thought came out of nowhere for Batman and Robin were actually based on the pre-production art and stuff, which was interesting. And it's just interesting, that stuff still happens now. There's a lot of stuff with the Marvel movies and stuff that these action figures come out and you're like, this doesn't look right, and then you see the the source art and you're okay, it was based on something that changed along the way. But seeing that happen even back then, I thought was interesting.
Awesome. Well, I gotta say, that's it for Kenner, and this has been Superhero Stuff You Should Know. All right.
All right. Before we get to comments, let's give Zach a hand for hosting his first episode. So thank you very much, Zach.
And second. First and second.
That's
First
right,
and second,
a two-parter.
Yes. And we're going to thank
like this one
Robert
better.
once again for coming on. We're not going to miss it this time.
Thank you, Robert.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Robert, for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I'm glad I got to
man.
include Robert into something I'm getting into now, so it's good to drag him along and be part of it.
Yep.
Oh, man. I think I would have a top 5 from both of yours. I would do Deep Dive, Creeper, this Keaton one, the fucking Quick Change.
Quick change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 3? What
Yep.
was the other one? Anyway, that's my top 3. Let's move
Top
on.
3, there you go.
Good enough.
So I did want to thank Jared P. as well for requesting this episode. So, man, you got some mileage out of this, Jared. You got 2 episodes that have your request. So he's a lucky guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So are these our comments, Ben?
Yes, so this first one is an email. Did you want to read this one, or do you want me to read this?
I could read it. Yeah, I can see it here. So this email comes from Aiden V. Hello, Superhouse. I wanted to message you guys because I have recently become somewhat obsessed with your videos.
Yes.
Thank you for your content. I particularly love the fan cast Ben comes up with after reading the unproduced screenplays. I was wondering if there are any plans to do more fan casting because I'd love to hear more. Ben?
Yeah, so thank you, Aiden, for that. I realize that's not something we've done in a while because, the Suicide Squad script we went over, I honestly didn't give a shit enough to give a fan cast on those characters. And when we did the Hulk one, there were already people who were cast in it, and I kind of just plugged in other actors from the 2003 Hulk movie. So I do intend to do that with the upcoming stuff that is on like unproduced screenplays, starting with the 2002 Batman vs. Superman. So we'll definitely be going over that. Potentially at the end of the year, we'll see where we want, but I've definitely promised that to people that we're going to cover that and cover it in our own unique way, because there's a lot of coverage on that version of Batman vs. Superman. But I think especially since we spent half a year on the Snyderverse, we might as well wrap this by going into Batman vs. Superman versus Batman vs. Superman. Which one did it better? So that's our sort of take.
Oh, my God.
Hey.
We'll figure that out, but that's coming pretty soon.
I want to see Ash versus Batman versus Superman.
Versus
Damn.
Terminator versus RoboCop.
Versus Predator.
They're all going to get bought out by Disney anyway at some point.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Right.
I bet so.
it'll happen.
But thank you, Aiden, for that email. And we also have a comment. So, from Slight Rebellion of Madison, well done, gentlemen. I'd like to give a shout out to Andrew's Daredevil TMNT shared origin episode, since it didn't receive enough love. I got some pity there, Andrew. As a Frank Miller
Pity vote.
As a Frank Miller Daredevil fan and lover of the first Ninja Turtles film, which I think is a great film, not just a great comic book film, naysayers, come at me! I was only disappointed it was 3 minutes and not 1 hour plus. So well done, Andrew.
Damn. Wow. Hopefully you didn't just reload it 250 times. But yes, thank you. Yeah, it was on the low end.
Watched it.
But yeah, thanks for watching that. Yeah, maybe we'll do some more Daredevil stuff in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, and I like some of the shorter videos too, like the video essays. Sometimes we have to have things that are a little bit more digestible to the younger folk, who I don't think are going to be watching this episode that's 2 fucking hours long. So
The TikTok generation.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Also, some topics lend themselves better to those.
Yeah.
So, when it came to Daredevil and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, it was like Andrew looked into it, and it was just like there's not enough here to talk about it for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would go on so many different tangents just to fill up an hour on that, as opposed to just like, well, here's the information. If it's just really 3 minutes of information, we're not going to do a whole episode on it. Unfortunately, there's just not enough. So
yeah, that was a fan request from Matt Herring also to do that video, and that kind of kicked off what seemed like forever ago fan request / wildcard month, which we're halfway into September now, so it extended a little bit.
More than a month, yeah.
Wild card year.
Wild card year, yeah. After Snyder, we went crazy.
That's right.
We were tired of sucking that dick. We're on our own now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Slight Rebellion of Madison.
I think it's off Madison, actually.
Slight Rebellion off Madison. I'm going to learn to read one day.
Get it right or pay the price.
And we also have a comment from Demetrius Sherman. The creator of Batman admitted Batman was inspired by The Shadow. There is a cover of a DC comic book showing this. Batman holds a The Shadow comic book, and so on. The creator of Shadow and said Batman is the Shadow in a batsuit. I can go on about how much Batman ripped off the Shadow. George Lucas of Star Wars was a Shadow fan and gave Jedi Knights shadow powers, he said. With the Shadow being the first and so important, this should have been bigger and better. I think they're saying that this episode should have been bigger and better, Ben. I don't know if I like that.
Better.
Oh,
well,
man.
hell.
Did he mean the Shadow movie should have been bigger and better?
Oh, no. This is a comment on Is Batman a ripoff of The Shadow? They are critiquing this episode.
Oh, man. Well, we'll go back and redo it, I guess.
We might
it wasn't long enough.
As a video essay.
Yeah.
Part 2 coming up.
I think I included this in the comments stuff because of the fact that when Andrew was sharing out this episode, so many people just tried to Batman fansplain us that it was Zorro instead of the Shadow without actually clicking the episode. So as a response to that
takes
if
work.
If we're going to respond to that, we're going to do it as a video essay in which we compare how much did Batman take from Zorro and how much did he take from the Shadow, and we'll have a scorecard and stuff like that. So I'm going to be working on that soon.
I like that.
Yeah, people just would not hear it. Like they would comment before watching what it looked like, what seemed like, and no, not the Shadow. He's based on fucking Zorro, you idiot. It's like this is a fucking video right here. We're presenting a fucking case with very clear evidence. That's what Ben's doing.
It's almost as if they're reading the big words first, right, Andrew?
Yeah, the big words only, and not going into the content.
You don't want to watch an hour episode on this?
Hell no.
Oh my god.
Halfway through the episode is literally somebody who laughs himself to death in a Shadow episode before the comic book of the Joker showed up. But nobody, I guess nobody who said that clicked on it. So anyways, we're going to hit them over the head with a video essay on that at some point.
That's right.
They won't click on it
But
anyway,
thank you, Demetrius.
if you talk about Zorro, then maybe.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's about how much did he take off from Shadow and Zorro, so we make it a competition, and then they get to see for themselves.
Now that would be interesting because there's a lot going on there, right?
Yeah. So that way, if you've seen the episode, you're not just going to be like, oh, this is just a shorter version of the shit I've seen. You'll get something more because I'll talk about Zorro stuff in that.
Okay.
Well, thanks anyways, Demetrius. You offered us something to talk about. So,
what about the Scarlet
really
Pimpernel?
Really appreciate
it. We have yet to have somebody comment about the Scarlet Pimpernel.
Darkwing Duck influenced Batman.
Duh.
Let's get dangerous,
Let's talk about the impact of the Bartman on Batman.
The Bartman influenced Batman, bro. We all know that.
Yes.
Another cartoon with a Danny Elfman theme.
That's right.
Shit, man.
Did The Simpsons rip off
Batman? As always, we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. We have Shasta, Liam O, Super Inframan, Douglas P, Diane D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jesse E, Jeffrey R, Scott V, Askers Webb, Jeremy H, Alex of the What Mean podcast, Ian Justice, Braxton W, Jared D, and Paul C. We would also like to thank
Jared P.
Jared D.
Jared P. I'm going to learn to read. Paul C. Thank you as well to our other supportageddon, SDCT Productions, Robert Shookman, Cookie Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls,
Schumann.
Schumann,
You
Robert
said Shook,
Schumann.
Shookman or something. Shookman, that's another superhero we're going to cover.
When I get going,
He influenced Electro.
When I get going, it's hard to stop. Robert Schumann, Cookie Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, and Tway N.
Very good.
All right, Andrew, take over.
All right, man. Thanks again for those comments and everybody for all that stuff. And I'd like you to take a look at patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We have the $1 tier, gets you the shout out. The $5 tier gets you a whole new show, everybody. It's every Friday, and you can cancel anytime. $10 tier, we're doing a monthly live show. And please check that out. We already did one with some fans. And
can I jump in on what this month's going to be?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ranking every live-action Batman, not in terms of how good as Batman they were, but specifically on who was the best fighter. So
nice.
We'll be ranking them on that. Obviously, we know Batfleck's going to be pretty high up there, but what about someone else? Like, we're going to go through everybody who's worn a bat suit and been in a fight. So stay tuned for that and be a part of that. You can join us on Patreon, again, on the $10 tier.
Yeah, so that would get you everything up to the $10 tier as well. So you have access to the $5 show. And yeah, the monthly meetup, like you just said, we would join for that and react to videos all together live via Zoom or, via StreamYard, which is what we use for recording the podcast. So yeah, and please check out our merch, superhousepod.redbubble.com. Also, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Zach, I'm sorry, man. We're going to get to it someday, bro. I forget every time till I get to reading this part.
2022
you got to remind me midweek.
Roll around. All right.
Get your Bidman and Indeed Wizard.
Halloween 2022.
Mugs, shirts, and shower
right.
curtains. Art by Wolfie Cruz, and the Zacula Joker is coming. We're gonna get stuff for that too. Just don't worry about it.
It may be an unreleased prototype one day that we talk about.
That variant's coming.
There you go.
It'll be translucent though, so don't worry. So also please record some audio and send it to superhousepodcast@gmail.com, and then please animate our sketches. Hashtag it if you do, and just put the hashtag throughout the duration of the video at the bottom corner of the screen somewhere. That'd be great. And then I'm ThunderWolfDrew on Instagram and Twitter. ThunderWolf lives on YouTube, where I do a bunch of Japanese-related content, but I don't update it that much, but it's there. And then ThunderWolfDrew.com has my portfolio all in one spot. And then you see this poster right here from Zach. This is Amano Recon, so it's AMANORECON.com. It is an original idea that I and some friends of mine kind of cooked up, and it is basically, think of R-rated Power Rangers meets X-Files, but the overall tone of it is kind of Stranger Things, but they're a little bit older than those kids in the first season especially. And they're a heavy metal band, and they get abducted by aliens, and shit happens from there. And it's a horror comedy, so there's some levity to it as well. So
nice.
We're going to be filming a pitch video for that soon, hopefully before the year ends. And then that pitch video will be the pitch on our Indiegogo campaign. Indiegogo is like Kickstarter, but it's better for indie films. So, and the campaign is for a 23-minute pilot full episode. So stay tuned for that. And check out the website, amanorecon.com, for more. And Ben.
Cool. You can check us out at SuperHousePod on Twitter, as Zach is pulling up. And on the next slide, you can check us out on Instagram at SuperheroStuffPod. And after that, TikTok, SuperheroStuffPod. And after that, Vero, SuperheroStuffPod.
Bam!
By all the Zack Snyder fans. Yes. Also, shout out to Comic Capital on Instagram, as well
Snyder,
as the
do
Everything
you
Entertainment
hear me?
Club on Clubhouse.
Snyder, do you hear me?
Someday, maybe.
Just post that on every post of his. We'll be like, okay,
Do you hear my hails?
come on. Are got shit to do, guys.
So Snyder's like, who are you guys? I talk to Ping Pong Flicks and that's it. I don't know who the fuck you guys are. I do my outreach. Ping Pong Flicks is Ping Pong Flicks. Who the fuck are you guys? Tyrone Magnus, yes. You?
Yes.
No.
I can't pass as Tyrone Magnus, but if I shave my head and wear my glasses, maybe I can be Ping Pong Flicks.
Yeah.
All right.
Just confuse him. Zack Snyder found out to be racist.
My website is
not being able
to
tell the difference.
my website is ben1writer.com. My YouTube channel in the next slide. The link to that is in the description below, but as you can see, it has some thumbnails by Zach himself. Then after that is Early Bird. Early Bird is an upcoming children's comic that I am working on. We are revamping the art on a new edition, but anyway, it is basically, think of it as a kind of Batman 66 style comic for kids. So that's coming up soon. I'll probably keep saying that for a while just because, the writing's currently being worked on, and then the art will come in, and eventually we'll end up publishing the new version. But anyway, after that,
are we looking at hold on, I want to ask about Early Bird real quick, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
Is this going to be like a fucking nationwide release, or this is going to be on Amazon, or what's the end game? What's the end game?
I'm the wrong person to ask on this.
Okay.
My friend's the one who's doing the publishing type stuff, but
okay.
As of right now, there's an early version that's available for sale on there. If you really want to get it, you can. It's just we're revamping it anyway, so there's really not much point.
Who's the MVP of these characters, bro? I'm gonna go with a monkey scientist.
Dr. Shimpson.
Dr. Shimpson, bro.
Shimpson, I loved it.
He has the voice of Beppo.
Yeah. Crow is a strong second place, bro. Or Raven.
I don't know.
Raven.
I like the
he's
worm.
Early Bird.
You like the worm?
Yeah,
he's
the
cool.
Worm,
Yeah.
The worm is the villain because it's Early Bird versus the worm.
See, that's why I liked him.
Early Bird versus the worm.
The worm.
You like the villain?
The villains are on the right side of the screen. So for those who aren't able to see it on YouTube, we've got a worm, as well as a white flamingo and a sheep that's hypnotizing people with his eyes. So that's what
he's the villain because he whitewashed the pink flamingo, bro. So that's just not right, man.
He's an
albino. I did
albino.
not design these characters. Anyway, after this,
Dr. Chimpson, dude.
My personal Instagram is Ben1Writer. My cat's Instagram after that is Alfie Pennyworth Cat, where you can check out my orange and white cat, my son, and if you also have a son who's a cat, then you can also get Whiskerbox, or a daughter who's a cat. You can get Whiskerbox for them, the only cat box for the crazy cat lady and gent. And if you don't have a cat, but you also have a dog, then you can get Barkbox, which is on the next slide, where we are affiliates with them. You can check out our promo link, as we talked about in the promo you probably heard about earlier in this episode, and you would get your first month off free, valued at $35. You can check out a lot of this stuff over at superherostuffpod.com/shop, which is in the next slide, where you can see all our different affiliates: Barkbox, Whiskerbox, Whispered Bidets, for your hiney.
We are in the bidet game, bro.
There you go.
Slinging bidets, bro.
I love it.
eBay, Amazon, all that good shit. So you can check that all out at superherostuffpod.com. Enhance your collection as well as help us out a little bit.
Enhance your toilet experience.
You can
Yes,
wash
that
off
too.
your cat and dog's behinds in the Whisper bidet. In the Whisper bidet.
We are not responsible for
we don't endorse that officially. So
No.
we gotta
Only
disclaim that for the
joking.
internet.
For those 2 seconds, Zach was a guest, not a ghost.
That's right.
We're gonna walk that one back real quick.
Oh, all right.
All right, over to you, Zach.
Well, if you want to see more of my artwork and less of me talking, then you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. I feel like that's where I really thrive, is
You
the
shine.
pictures and not the sound. So you can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok,
When you're doing
and
other
YouTubes.
people's voices, you're all right, bro.
That's true.
I would say so, yes.
Otherwise, I sound like that other guy that they talked about last time. So
Pavlovsky or whatever.
there you go. I guess I sound like him. But
Phil?
you can follow me on, like I said, TikTok, YouTube, and on Instagram. Just look up Zachary Jackson Brown Art, and you can see more of the stuff that I make and the less of the stuff that I speak. Now, on to Robert. Where can people find you?
Yeah.
You can find me and my work on Instagram at PimParticles, PYM particles. And that's
Figure
where
it out.
Put my custom action figure work. I've mostly been doing a lot of Marvel and Star Wars stuff lately. That's just been kind of the niche I found myself in, but I do a little bit of everything. So going over and check me out. Give me a follow.
You have a smog machine or whatever? A fog machine?
It's a Halloween just fog machine. I usually have to disconnect the smoke alarms
Fire
and
alarm.
stuff when I use it. Yeah.
Definitely. And can I ask, what camera do you use?
That is just the camera off my cell phone.
Oh, nice.
Ain't
okay,
that
cool.
some shit?
Yeah, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife even said that she used to use really nice cameras because she likes to do photography, and now she's like, there's no point. The camera like on your phone is better than most like digital cameras that I've had. So yeah, they look spectacular, your photos, and like we talked about with your quick change Bruce Wayne last time, all your custom work is fantastic. Robert also made a custom Crypt Keeper pop for me one year that I still love. He's with my Crypt Keeper collection, so yeah, give him a follow. And we will replace this image with the one for Batman Forever. But again, thank you guys for coming on and listening to our part 2 for Kenner's Batman toy line, the history of Kenner's Batman toy runs. And let's switch over real quick. Well, come on. There we go.
There we go.
And again, thank you, Robert, for coming on and helping me out, talking about all the Batman toys. I know this is a big love for both of us, so I want you guys to do us a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
It's better when you guys do it. Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.